Mars.
Very good. Make the jump to hyperspace.
Lord Vader, we have them in our sights. Should we proceed?
Stand down, Commander. Leave them to me. The nerds are mine.
Rare that if you nab them, then
That's an impressive Funko collection you got going on there.
Yeah,
I
like I
have
said,
more of a Sadco.
I just
collection
scratched
over
the
here.
surface of the collection. So once
Unfunny.
I get like more of the exclusives, the larger ones, the ones from Loot Crate, that kind of thing loaded in, I'm sure it'll be ridiculous.
Yeah. Is that with the number that that their value is that going to be pretty commensurate with the amount of money you've purchased them for?
You know what? They are all valued either at or above the price I purchased them.
Okay. All right.
Because I did not pay $125 for the Disney Matterhorn one. I paid like on Amazon, I think it was like $35 or something.
Oh,
like
wow.
that, so.
What's the one that's of the most value or the most value that's gone up since you bought it?
Of the ones that I've scanned, there's a original Big Bang Theory. It's Sheldon Cooper in the Green Lantern shirt,
Oh, wow.
and I received that as a gift, so technically $0 to me.
Right.
And that listed it at like $275.
Oh, wow.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Right. That's crazy.
but there's
Is it rare?
other-
Is that why?
I think so, because it was when Funko really wasn't a thing,
Right.
and it's also like the original body style, like the
That's how it is. It's all
You know,
that early
T-pose.
shit, but
Yeah.
no one cared.
Well,
And
then I've
especially
got-
ones that they just made, not necessarily as a one-off, but it was like, yeah, we'll do a Sheldon. It's fun. Big Bang was
Yeah.
big enough or whatever. Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, yeah, and I have
Let's bang out this biggie.
I went to in Northwest Indiana is where they have the A Christmas Story Museum,
Mm.
and Funko did a run of the Christmas stories. So there's like the dad with the leg lamp and Ralphie in the cowboy suit and Ralphie in the bunny suit. I think I paid like $5.99 or something like that for
Mhm.
them, and those were each listed at like 50 plus.
Oh, wow. That's
And
cool.
I think it's because of like the rarity. Like
Yeah.
I think they were only available at the museum. So
I love it when things actually go up in value like that. It's great.
well, and then I took it out of the box and
Never mind.
So now they're all crusty from all that semen. We're not live yet, are we?
Oh, we've been live, yeah. Okay, so well, besides the most valuable, what would you say is the one that's covered in the most semen?
I
Or
have
is it
Wendy-
easier to say which one has the least semen? Which is the
Yeah.
easier answer?
I have Wendy Peppercorn from Sandlot,
Yeah.
and I have I think her name was Darcy from Fast Times at Ridgemont High,
Oh, they've got
and
Those two?
Elvira. So there you go.
Oh, is it from
Elvira.
her in the swimsuit?
Yeah.
Is that? Yeah. I mean, that was like the jerk off scene of the
For
80s.
our age, that
Yeah.
was many of our that was many important moments in our lives.
yeah. Is there one of what's her name from Porky's? Is it Porky's?
I've never seen Porky's.
I've never seen
You
it
never
either.
see- oh
I
man,
just
it
know the
is
scene.
garbage.
I
It is a
know,
trash
I
bag
need
movie,
to
Yeah.
but it's
see
worth
it.
seeing. It's
I
worth
believe it.
like checking off the box. Yeah,
And maybe Porky's too, probably then.
Porky's Revenge.
The Revenge of Porky's. Is that Revenge of the
Porky's
Nerds?
Porky here. Oh, technical note. That's actually a useful thing. My roommate was listening to the live last week. They
Yeah.
said, Matt, you were a lot louder than us.
Well, and I was just going to tell you that you are way quieter than both of us.
Okay.
So yeah, we got to figure
weird.
something
He
out
said,
here.
Okay. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna pop my gain up to 6. I
Cool.
was like at 2.
Oh
last
yeah,
time.
yeah. Take it way up. Because I'm at I'm at a 6 right now with my mic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have a human that like monitors and can be like, "Hey"?
I was just
asshole,
listening to see I've got YouTube up. Let me see what happens.
Are we live? Have I been saying all this live?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're live. Well, the thing that's interesting is in OBS, I've got my in, and then I've got the desktop in, which is you two guys. I wonder if I just did desktop audio and found a way to route my mic in, maybe it would even it out. Because when I go in and do the podcast for Spotify and Apple and all that stuff, I normalize all our audio so it goes out exactly the same. No
You've
problemo.
got control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also I just talk way more and way louder. So sorry, everybody.
All right. I'll just be quiet in the corner.
No, we want you to be loud in the corner, but shut up. Also, shut up. So, chapters 5 and 6 tonight for the live stream. This episode is, of course, chapter 5,
which is easy to remember. They
It
actually delineate, unlike
Also-
some of the earlier ones where I'm like, "What? Which one?"
Also known as season 3, chapter 1 of The Mandalorian.
Season 2.5.
Yeah. Because it was obvious. It was very clear. I mean, they played the Mandalorian theme at the end of chapter 4, so we knew what was going to happen. We knew Mando was going to show up. We just didn't realize that they were going to completely and utterly eliminate Boba Fett from his own show.
Right.
Completely. Make him
Right,
irrelevant.
as if they were hearing the complaints in real time, somehow in the past knew and went, "Let's pull the plug on this plot."
Yeah.
Let's pull the plug on the main character. Let's get him out of here.
Yeah.
And we'll do something
Oh, and
completely
the new
different.
ship
the
is called-
Encyclopedia. of
Yeah.
Boba
It's
Fett.
called the Fire Spray, not the Fire Hawk.
Fire
Just wanted
spray.
to- Somebody asked me about that. Like the Slave One.
The slave one's called the fire spray.
Yeah,
Fire
when you
spray.
fill it with tequila, that's what you get a few
Yeah.
hours later.
So
When you give it
It's a
Taco
bad name,
Bell, it turns
but-
into the fire spray. Give it a cheesy gordita crunch.
Bing.
That's how it got its new name.
I am Boba. Oh, hold on.
So yeah, chapter 5, Return of the Mandalorian, aka whole episode about the Mandalorian.
Right. So first things first, he enters. It's great. He walks into the meat packing plant. We're there, but I mean, how did you guys feel about his sort of it was sort of a callback to the stormtrooper fight, we've got you 4-1. I like those odds. It was kind of that same sort of like feel, right?
Yeah, I was kind
Yeah.
of like, okay, it's all that again. And
Mhm.
then he went on a murder fest, and I was like, okay.
You liked the murder fest?
Yeah, I loved it.
Okay.
It's all the stuff we went, oh, I thought this is what Boba Fett was going to be.
Right.
And then Boba Fett's like petting monkeys and, I don't know, hanging out with kids at the cancer ward. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Good for him.
Yeah.
And then over here is the dude that hangs out with the baby, and he's chopping people in half. I go, okay.
Well, I did like initially on first watch when he's fighting, I was like, God, this is it's clunky, but in a good way, where it felt like he was using the lightsaber or the dark saber like what you would imagine like a great sword or a battle axe would look like, of just these like chunky like chop slap. And then you find out later in the episode that it there's some lore behind his issues with the saber. And I also like that he actually like cut himself too, that he wasn't just like this ultra finesse weapons expert, that he was just like, this is gonna hurt you, but probably me too.
Mhm.
Oops,
Whoops daisies.
boined myself. Yeah.
But no, that's why I liked it, is because it was like, okay, so he's gonna start whacking on stuff, but then when he hit himself, it's like, okay, so there's something going on here, that this weapon is not just like instant finesse, like there's some work to be
it's
done.
like,
And I knew
it's like when a wizard, has a wand, and the wand isn't, you
It's
gotta
not
find the
his.
wand
Yeah.
that works with you.
And you remember when we watched the second season of Mandalorian, there were a couple of not throwaway episodes, but the one where he goes to the ice planet with the frog lady, and it really doesn't serve much purpose except for there's a little bit of at the head and a little bit at the tail that kind of fits into the story, and you're kind of like, this doesn't make any sense. Why it doesn't make anything for the story? It was great to have some bits of Mandalorian that had nothing to do with anything but just for fun. I forgot how much I missed that in a show because Book of Boba felt like it was just all exposition up to that point, and finally we had just a scene for him to just it showed a little bit of the dark saber, but he was back to his old tricks, which was kind of fun to see
Right.
him just be a gunslinger for a minute.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, yeah, even when he leaves the boss's room, and he's got the head in the hand, he's kind of covering his leg. But his little speech to those guys was so good because he's like, "Listen, I'm not here for you. We don't have a problem. There's a bunch of money in there.
Mm-hmm.
Just let me go, and it's all yours." And then it takes them a second. They're like, "Oh, yeah, okay, cool, go."
Yeah.
They
Oh,
rush in there.
We're
and then he just
gonna.
kinda-
We don't have jobs after this. We better get that money.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I dug that. And then
Yeah.
and then it's funny there's so many. I love it's all a tangent for a second. I love how quickly the internet likes to just crap on stuff because that's what the internet's for.
Yeah, that's the
But
joy of
I had the
thing.
same
Star Wars
exact
fans.
feeling in like the very next scene when it cuts to essentially what I thought was a Halo commercial. I thought it was like
Right.
a trailer for the new game.
Yeah.
Because
That's
it
funny.
had like the Halo ring, and I was like, Disney Plus, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
This is the
Okay, okay.
planet.
okay, it's the
Mhm.
plan. Yeah, okay.
I don't know what it is about Mandalorian that made me immediately go ahead and just embrace a completely new world or a new idea or new concept, but everything on Tatooine I want to poop on for when it's Boba Fett. I don't know why. Because he walks into that bar and it's a little goofy and it's very like, have a drink with us, and it's kind of stupid. I just think that Mandalorian's this fleshed out, well formed character that we all adore, and you could put him in a birthday party at a bouncy house, and you'd be like, I'm buying it. I
Right.
love it.
Because
Because we've got
it's his character. Like again, it goes back to you watch the Book of Boba Fett and you go, did they have a meeting about who Boba Fett is? Because one episode to another, one scene to another, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, he's this cool, ruthless guy. Oh,
Yeah.
now he's in a madcap little thing trying to catch a little droid, and it's a comedy. Oh, now it's a this, and it's like, what am I supposed to think of this guy?
Yeah.
Where Mandalorian, you go, okay, I know who he is. He's this dude that has no problem shooting first, asking later,
Mm-hmm.
trying to have some moral compass, and it's business. And, it's like, okay, I get it. And so, yeah, you put him in a birthday party.
Right.
And even if there's wacky humor, you'll go, it works because I know who he is, and I buy that the director and the writer know who he is.
Yeah.
Boba Fett, you're like, am I supposed to trust that this is him? Or will the next episode tell me something different?
Yeah. Which is interesting because we have all of this, if you're a Clone Wars Rebels person too, which I would say I'm a 5 out of 10 in terms of knowledge on all that kind of stuff. But even just watching The Mandalorian, you've got a little bit of the backstory of Mandalore, a little bit of backstory on the Darksaber. You can follow it if you know. And it's interesting that he's the Mandalorian after 2 seasons is the way more compelling, interesting character that we want to follow than Boba Fett, who, his first screen appearance was 1979 or something like that. It's crazy.
And he almost always has his helmet on.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
And there is something we have the Boba Fett show, which I love Tamora Morrison. He's doing wonderfully.
Yeah, me too.
No problem with him. But it does take something away when you just see this dude like sitting there. There is something diminishing that the Mandalorian does capture the fact that he's got that helmet on the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he could have been a character like, is it Cobb? Is that Timothy Oliphant's character?
Yeah.
Chance.
Who wore the
Cobb Vanth.
Cobb Vance, who wore the armor before him, where even though he was taking it on and off, he still just had kind of this allure and panache and purpose to him, which we get to see later. And Boba Fett doesn't have a purpose at the moment.
What they're assigning to him having a purpose and what I think they were betting on us caring.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if he runs Jabba's palace or not. Who
Mhm.
cares? It's boring. Like, unless something cool. Again, that's why last week or the last couple times I was like, if this was at least Mogadishu or like Syria, like war torn crazy, and he's wanting to take this over, now it's compelling. But like him just like, oh, I want to. It's like the Obi-Wan show. I'm just like, oh boy,
No more desert.
don't be on the desert, man. That's the thing
Yeah.
about this. That right off the bat, when after he gets the head, the Mandalorian in this episode, and he's on that big ring world, and he's taking the elevator, and you're
Mhm.
seeing the stuff. You're like, oh yeah, what Star Wars is supposed to be,
Mhm.
creative.
Mhm.
Look, not that it's a new idea, but it feels fresh. And you're going, wow, he's in space. Like just seeing space was like,
Yeah, for sure.
That's true. We hadn't seen space in a while. But see, I love the Mogadishu thing because if it was this war-torn area that all of these different families were fighting over, and it's dangerous and scary and all this kind of stuff, that creates some stakes in the
Yes.
show. And you need the Mandalorian. Right now, they're just like, we got some really mean chicken robots. What are we going to do? Call the Mandalorian. He'll fix it. There's just nothing that feels like there's stakes there. And also, in a way, it would actually give the Obi-Wan show more to work with because you could see Tatooine when it was peaceful before it turned into this war-torn planet or something. You know what I mean? It would give it stakes, but I don't know. It doesn't have any. No stakes, just
No.
chicken.
Like, yeah, when he walked out, and
Nice.
I know it. We talked
Yeah.
about it that first episode when he's walking out on the street, and what's her name's like, well, they don't even address that there's danger really, but she's like, yeah, you shouldn't be walking around with your helmet off. You should be getting carried, whatever. You know, you're bucking tradition here. They're used to the huts, but yeah, it should have been like, you should be like, Boba, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna get killed, and
Or-
then the assassin should come, and the assassin should seem capable and cool. And that's
Yeah.
more,
It made me
whatever.
think of we were talking about Thor Ragnarok last week. It made me think of that too again when we were talking about this just now, is how Jeff Goldblum's character kind of ran this garbage planet and it was chaos all the time. But people still lived there and they still had like Hulk festivals but they had the Roman Colosseum and garbage collectors. It was more Tatooine than Tatooine is, and that's the feel that I would have expected. This cramped, tight, everything's on top of you sort of feeling to it.
Yeah, at least
Well,
certainly the city. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and you're not wrong because it's I'll buy the idea that when Jabba died and Beeble Brock's banana head took over, I can't remember his name right now.
People
When he
I
took
wanna
over,
just call him that now.
that
True
he,
Bib Fortuna. Yeah.
yeah, thank you, Bib Fortuna. When Fortuna took over, that he created this like uneasy alliance of captains, if you want to call it that. But like when you do that, it doesn't become a status quo. Like
Yeah.
there's always one captain who's like, wait, I'm the labor captain. If you're the merchant captain, you need me. Like there's that uneasiness that they
Right.
didn't even address.
An
So it's
unbalance.
like they
Mhm.
created this like perfect homogenous society where everyone's like totally fine. Like that's not how that would work at
And
all.
two,
There
it's
would be
like-
like a ton of stabbing going on.
Bib Fortuna? That guy? You
Right.
sure that guy can keep the peace? There's no power vacuum because of Bib Fortuna?
Right.
Right.
You sure about that?
Yeah. So I think that they needed this Mandalorian show, or I should say episode, because they almost have to put the brakes on what's happening in Boba Fett's world,
Mhm.
because it seems like
Mhm.
we talked about it, that he's talking about a war is coming, but we're all kind of like, it doesn't really feel like it's coming. It
don't
feels like
believe
they're
it.
just going to come in. The Pike is just going to come in, and the Syndicate is just going to take over.
I'm waiting
There's gonna
for
be no
someone to
war.
double park.
Yeah, like, there's nothing that's going to
Exactly.
happen here. So they needed this like palate cleanser episode,
Yeah.
but also it only works because the Mandalorian was so good. Like
Mhm.
if they had tried to do like a jump back to a Fennec Shand backstory, like origin thing, where maybe she did some jobs for the Hutts that set up, putting one of the captains in place, or some sort of like machination where she's involved with the way that that Mos Eisley is now.
Mhm.
That would have been maybe that would have worked, but that would have been a real hard one for people. So I think they
Yeah.
needed this episode had to have with the Mando, and they needed to do a hard cut on Boba Fett content just to give people a chance to kind of like ignore all of that, to like wash it out of your brain. Let's do something that is a fan service, get you reinvigorated with the show, so you continue to watch, so that we can slowly trickle in content, and then we'll wrap it up in which, as the time of airing, the finale has happened, and I have not watched it yet.
Me neither.
But I'm curious to see now how these two lines have clashed. I know in chapter 6, which we'll talk about later, there's a reemergence. But just talking about chapter 5, it was so good because it could be as silly as it needed to be or as it wanted to be, but it didn't go that route necessarily. Like, it had silly moments, it had really wonky moments, but it also had some extremely deep lore based, like just like Star Wars stuff, like the Halo planet, the battle of the Mandalorians in the new they didn't call it a coven, what they call it,
They're hidden little
culvert,
Is that
right?
what they call it?
Was it a culvert?
The cul-de-sac.
Something like that, right? But so like their new
It'd
home
be
base,
great
right?
if the Mandalorians lived on cul-de-sacs.
No one thinks to look here.
Yeah.
We always
they
can
had-
hide in a cul-de-sac.
They had that great scene, which, knowing more about the stuff, they did such a great job of saying, like, oh, this is the Darksaber, it's the leader of Mandalore. But then they also said, like, forged by was it Count Vizsla,
Mhm.
who was half Mandalorian, half Jedi. But then
Right.
that giant other Mandalorian guy is of House Vizsla. So like it's almost like a birthright thing. Like, no, like this should be his.
Yeah.
In an old matriarchy type system, he would have been the boy king kind of thing. He would have been the inherited king. But that's not how Mandalore works.
Mhm.
So it's interesting that this tool created by his forefather is lost, and then like circles back around, and then immediately he challenges for it.
Played by
and then we
John Favreau, by the way.
that's Favreau.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Fun facts.
He's the dumpy would-be Arthur. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, he's the same guy in the other seasons.
Yeah. he
Oh,
plays
for
in
sure.
that
Oh,
too,
no,
yeah.
that's super cool. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Mhm.
But it's super good that they sneak in that little thing. And you're like, it's kind of like a toss away, but it's a deep lore component that, especially when they introduce the idea that Jardin is having a problem mastering this weapon. As he's
Mhm.
using it, it's getting heavier. He's getting more sluggish, becoming more easily defeated. And then they bring in that very subtle thing of like, maybe it's not yours, man. Like,
Yeah.
maybe this
Right.
ain't yours.
Mhm.
And then there's not even a discussion. It's just like, fight.
Yeah.
Like, they
and
just
go.
know, fight.
Right, because I feel like it could be not have that not happen, but it's like
Mhm.
they know again, because when they're dealing with the Mandalorian, they're thinking deeply. Whoever's coming up with the stuff, there's edits
Yeah.
and there's drafts, and they're really thinking it out to say, let's go gung ho. Where again, that Boba Fett show doesn't have it, but boy, you see the Mandalorian, you go, yeah, it's
Mhm.
there. Here they've got it. Here they know what they're doing.
Well,
Yeah.
what I felt was, and I almost texted you guys the other day, but I was like, I'll save it. Is that what I realized is that the first 4 chapters of Boba Fett really could have just been an episode arc in The Mandalorian. None of it
Sure.
was at all interesting
Because none
or
of it
cool.
They could have
seemed
tightened
to-
it up.
to go anywhere.
Yeah, because Boba Fett could have shown up in season 3 of The Mandalorian with a Wookiee and been like, hey, we're having some trouble on Tatooine. A war's about to go off. Can you come help? And he's like, absolutely, but I got to, hop off and check out the kid first.
Mhm.
That there.
100%.
No, like that's it.
Yeah.
It's like episode. It's like what was it? Chapter or episode? The 6th Harry Potter movie, the last one, where they basically did a synopsis of all the movies in about the first 20 minutes, and I was like, oh, I didn't need to watch those. Cool, because it was that concise and great, and created enough backstory that I was like, cool. Now I can watch the 6th one and enjoy it. It's like that. This whole show.
Seventh
Oh, it's 7th. 7th.
slash
Yeah.
eighth.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but this movie, this
The
show,
Deathly Hallows.
something like that. Oh,
You got to remember it was middle school and high school, so it's 7 books. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, it's not a bad point, but
It's a great.
it would have been interesting if
It's
they
a
would have
pretty
like
good point.
and bring it back. That it right, you cut out all the Tusken Raider stuff, and yes, you've got
Useless.
that like
Yeah.
1 episode, 2 episode arc inside the Mandalorian that fits in perfect.
Well, he could even have the Tuscan stuff in there. Could have been like, because he could have done all of his flashback stuff in a conversation with the Mandalorian. How'd you get out?
Oh, sure.
This is how I got out. Ba-dum, ba-dum. Let's go fight.
Yeah.
Where's the gaffy stick from? Yeah.
I like so the fact that I'm at this point and I'm going, are they ever going to do anything with Tusken Raiders with the show again?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like, you should not be asking that. You should be like, oh, the Tusken Raiders are going to play a crucial part. But I'm like, maybe not.
JK.
Ever.
Yeah.
Well, especially when I guess they kind of set it up as like, well, those bikers wiped out the whole tribe.
Yeah.
Like they're done. Like
All
the
four
only-
of them.
so the only point to having the Tuskens in there was this is how he lived. He got some training. He discovered the pikes were running through Tusken land. And it happened to put him in a place where he could get Fennec Shan. That's it.
Mhm.
That's it. That's the whole point of the Tuskens.
It straight up was just to say, why did he look the way he did and had Fennec Shan in The Mandalorian? Yes.
Yeah.
Why did he have the stick?
Right.
Yeah.
And how is he alive? That's all.
There was
And
something
that could
about
have been done in a single flashback.
Absolutely. There's something about that. It was like a review of the whatever episode 5, maybe chapter 5, and this guy was saying something like, so basically Boba Fett lived with the Tuskens for 4 years, because that's kind of the timeline, kind of how it worked out.
Right.
And I said, and to me, I was like, yeah, because he spent all 4 of those years riding fucking banthas everywhere. It took
It took that long
forever
to
to
get
get
there.
anywhere. So that's how it, that makes sense to me. Did you see?
I think
Sorry, go ahead.
the what's more appropriate is when he had the bantha and he went back to the village and they're all dead. They should have been dead from starvation because he was going to get food.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I forgot it. It took me 8 months.
To ride
They
to
all died.
7-Eleven.
Yeah, he comes back and says they were out of this.
No Frito-Lay cheesy dip. I'm sorry, guys.
What's your
I
second
forgot
choice?
to bring my cell phone, so I came all the way back. Is there a replacement?
Have you seen the like a bantha video? It's like 5 seconds. It's a not supercut. It's a cut of the scene from Empire Strikes Back when we first see Boba Fett, where Darth Vader's walking through the deck and he says, and I use any means necessary to capture the Millennium Falcon. But no, he's like, but I want them alive. But no disintegrations. And then it's Tamira Morrison's voice going, like a bantha. And that's all it is. It's just super quick.
Oh, I've heard of it. A guy
Yeah.
at work that was like, talking about this. Like a bantha.
Like a
when he's on the
bantha. Yeah.
speeder bike trying to teach the Tusken Raiders.
Yeah. Because that was another one. It was something about,
Like a bantha.
I forgot.
Woo!
Yeah.
Have they changed it into like a virgin? I feel like that if that cover has
Oh, that would be good. There is one of, I don't remember whose characters talks about Boba Fett being a cold-blooded killer who cannot be trusted. And then it cuts to going here, like a bantha. And it's just...
That might be a character in the next episode.
Right.
We are not to yet.
Yeah, I think that's
Oh,
chapter
maybe.
6.
Yeah, but who cares?
But
A certain Clone Wars character.
so trying to reel it back in.
Yeah, reel it back in.
So he has the fight, and then
Oh
so
yeah,
he,
the
he-
Mandalorian episode.
yeah, he gets to keep the saber, but then the big revelation of like, have you taken your helmet off?
Right.
And Vizsla's like, nope. And then she asks him, and he's like, funny
yes.
story. And he says yes, and she's like, you're a Mandalorian no more. I'm like, well, that's weird. Like she pulled his M card and like
Just
tore it
like
up
that.
right in front of him, just like
Cancel
that.
culture, bro. It exists in
Yeah,
a
right.
galaxy far, far away.
Which is, you know what? That is I was gonna bring that up. There is
yeah.
a lot of very interesting current 2022 subtext in this episode.
Yeah.
Masked in old timey space.
Masks.
Ah.
I don't know if it's intentional, though. Do you think it is?
I mean, Bryce Dallas Howard directed this, and,
Yeah.
and I think she kind of knows what she's doing. But
Yeah,
so there's that,
for
right?
sure.
There's the cancel culture stuff. So then we'll move ahead to he's like, all right, what do I need to do? And she's like, go take a bath in the water underneath the mines. He's
30
like, they're
Hail
destroyed, and she's
Marys.
like, figure it
Yeah.
out.
Right.
Okay. So then he leaves, and then this is where the other part that's really interesting comes in. So he goes, he doesn't have a ship, right? So we can only assume that the meat packing place was on the Halo ring, where he
Yeah.
ends up to find the culvert. So then he goes and he gets transport, and then this is the other one. He basically he goes through, and the metal detector goes off, and this little droid pops up. He's like, all the weapons in the thing, and he says, it's part of my religion. And the bot's like, their droid's like, you can almost see like the so
Mm-hmm.
like so what, and it was just for me. It was just an interesting little like, I can't do this because of my religion, and the bot being like, I don't know what religion is. There's the you want to ride or not? Like,
Yeah.
Well, welcome
Like,
to
it's-
Earth, bro.
I mean, it's kind of like I'm not gonna wear a mask. Okay, then you can't
Yeah.
come in.
Cool.
but you
Then you
serve
can
food.
find another transport.
Yeah,
That's
you can
fine.
find-
You're free to find another way to wherever you need to go.
Yeah, and I didn't look, but I wanted to see, and it would have been beautiful if he said it's part of my religion, and if the bot just would have been like blink blink,
Right.
just like the
Ding ding.
I can sit here all day long, bud. What do you want?
Mhm.
Yeah, I thought it.
Yeah, I'm a
I love it.
droid. I'll play this game as long as
Yeah.
you want.
Yeah. I have no feelings, just programming. What do you want? You want to ride? This is what it takes. And I just
But
thought it was
then
super
it's-
interesting.
And two, it's like, this is why it's just so much better, is because in that moment, then he's got to get himself real vulnerable, and he has
Mhm.
to potentially lose the dark saber. He
Right.
has to put this
Yeah.
one of the most valuable relic weapons
Mm-hmm.
in the galaxy into this box and hope that it shows up on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of that tied together, it's great. So there's comedy in that moment,
Right.
but there's stakes.
Huge
Right.
stakes.
Right.
And again, that's the difference from when like Boba Fett is trying to talk to the mayor or whoever,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
the governor, and they're trying to do comedy, and you're like, there's no stakes. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
This, you go, okay, there we go.
Yeah.
You get it.
I think it
Bryce
still.
Dallas Howard, you get it.
I'm still, I'll still continue to be Captain Critical. My,
Oh, do it.
as Brian and I always say, we'll put our douchebag hats on and give you all the notes. But it's like the stakes to me would have been greater if he was getting on a not so luxurious Star Cruiser that wasn't so well appointed with
If it
cute
was
little
raggedy.
Greedo kids in there. Yeah, if it was like he was strapping himself into a DC-9 that was rumbling and he wasn't quite sure if that droid was going to get that box on the thing, that then
Or
you're
if
kind
that
of like
droid
going,
belonged to that airline.
yeah,
right?
but he got onto an Airbus basically, on Qantas to go to a planet that's in quote unquote war and gets off with all these fancy people. It was still kind of like, it just felt so cushy and un-Star Wars in a way because it was so not gritty at all.
Although,
that's a great point.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Thank
I mean,
you.
He just got paid pretty handsomely for.
Oh, so he paid
that
paid
job.
for it, paid for something
I-
nice.
I think he's
Yeah.
like, I flew
Alright.
in the Razor Crest all year. Like, I'm gonna take this one easy. Like, I can afford this one.
And is that the same? Because I feel like when the ship lands on Tatooine, that's the same. Don't they have that shot in the Book of Boba Fett?
Oh yeah,
Earlier, when he's got
That's
the
like the-
one-eyed ding dong dude.
Yeah, that's like the
That's
standard.
like you keep
transports,
your eye
yeah.
on stuff.
Well, and it's
Because
funny
nothing's
too because I
happening.
think I said this when we were talking about the problem with Tatooine, or the problem with Mos Eisley not being a war zone, is that when the Pikes get off, there's a scene of some lady like running up, like like hugging somebody.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
thing happens in this one. There's a couple, and like these people run off, like it's like, oh, I'm so glad you're here.
Mhm.
Everything's great. You're gonna have
Right.
such a great time.
Welcome.
Yeah.
We're gonna have the best bachelorette party you could ever imagine.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like people are ducking, covering through airport
Mhm.
security kind of
Yeah.
thing. It's just like
Yeah.
like they landed in Vegas, they're ready to have a good time.
Yeah.
If you want to like compare it to The Godfather, because there was a lot of conversation about that exact same thing.
Sure.
The
You're
families
trying
are
to do a
having
gangster
issues.
thing, so yes,
We're having a war.
compare it.
Yeah. Okay, so there we go. There's a lot of that talk, the same talk. All the families are in disarray. We're trying to struggle over this ground. We're preparing for war. And in The Godfather, they're still in these very fancy houses, having these very quiet and civilized conversations. But something's about to go down. There's a particular tension that you're experiencing amongst all of these characters. And I don't know why. I think maybe because there's so much lip service in Boba Fett up to this point and not any actual action or tension or anything like that. So when he has a sit down at the table with the dog people and the this and the that, you don't know these people. You don't care about what's going on. And there were no stakes. In Godfather, Luca Brasi gets whacked and he was kind of like the unwhackable. There were stakes. Again, we keep on talking about stakes, but it's just what it is, or isn't that going on?
Nico, I mean, to your point of saying it, what if there was a Fennec Shan flashback where she was more embedded in this? There's a history for her. Like, if there was that episode and she was working with one of these warlords and now he's at the table and there's a conflict built in because this guy's not going to bend the knee to Boba Fett, then it's something. But
because they didn't even,
they're nobodies.
They didn't even do the cliche like it happens every time, like the evil villain has a meeting of all the people he doesn't know. One guy's always like, I want out, and then that guy gets killed immediately, right? Or the you failed me, you're dead. They didn't do that scene. And I think somebody probably in the room was like, oh, you can't do it, it's cliche, blah blah blah. But they needed something there.
Cliche for at least a reason. Yeah.
Right. But you needed something there other than him saying like, just stay out of it, and then being like, well, like, okay, we'll stay out of it. Like there was no threat on territory. There was no like, they didn't even like drag one of the guys away and then point at the number 2 and be like, you're in charge now, bend the knee, basically.
Drop him in the Rancor pit. The fact that they only used a Rancor to be like, they're like, oh, there's a Rancor here.
Yeah.
I guess I just have to not fall in the pit now. Thanks.
Don't come here
that
now.
we all know is there and how
now we know
we've seen it 100 times. Yeah.
Thanks.
I'll just zoom in on the next one.
Lizard monster that could like run fast, then that would be something. But the slow, clunky Rancor in a pit,
Who loves his master?
So then we find out that again, reeling it back. So we find out that
with you, bro.
That because we don't know where Mandalorian is going after the Halo planet. We just know he got on a ship and he's traveling somewhere, and he lands on Mos Eisley. And we're like, what the heck is going on? And then you find out he's going back to meet, and I forgot
your favorite character.
Yeah, Amy Sedaris' character, because he has basically contracted with her to replace the Razor Crest. He knows he needs a ship. He's back in the bounty business. He's got to have a thing. And I guess she said, yes, I've got one. And then he shows up and she does not have one. And it was
I know the perfect Phantom Menace product that no one's been buying that we'll make everyone buy on eBay immediately.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. The Naboo Starfighter, which I think it's a very interesting choice. I'm not mad at it. Like I'll be honest with you. I'm not mad at it.
Pretty wonderful on many levels. Yeah.
It's because they, the Razor Crest served the purpose of basically being like a bounty trawler. Like he could go to places, be pretty tough, and just like carbonite people, and he could do like a mass, like a hauler. Like
because he did have like sort of an art gallery of frozen people at one point, right?
Yeah,
in carbonite.
Yeah. So he could do many trips, stay out in space for quite some time, and figure some stuff out. Now this one feels like it's like peyote. Yeah. Pop some acid,
some visions,
hit the gas, and call it a day. Like the fact that they soup it up with like, and it's like the Grease Lightning episode, right? Like they soup up this car. They talk about all these aftermarket, it's like Fast and the Furious. They got Nas everywhere. There's some engine, of course, that is sticking out above the hood, which is hilarious because
the Mad Max crap.
There's there's no oxygen in space, and that's what those are there for.
Right. For exhaust.
Intakes.
Oh, intake.
So
that's right. Yeah.
It's an intake, right? But it's like there's no reason for it not to be streamlined as possible, right? And then so it's like this huge misunderstanding of how cars work episode. But they slam it together. They have this fun little thing. She talks about dating Jawas, and she says they're hairy twice, which is a stupid joke 2 times. But I
I'm
do
waiting
love
for that video.
Yeah, right. I do love his new vehicle though, because I think it's,
wah.
and I think the reason that sold me on why it's so good is because of the scene that he has with the X-wings when
Yeah.
he kind of gets pulled over by the space cops, and it's like he does the whole like, well, I don't have a beacon yet, and blah 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 blah, but then he like punches it, and it's like, okay, this is now I'm a different kind of badass vehicle for the Mandalorian.
Right.
And that where
Yeah.
I used to be able, I could probably run you over with the Razor Crest, hit you and then just blow you out of the sky.
But
now
I'll get shot at because I'm slower and clunkier.
Yeah,
Mhm.
now it's the good luck trying to catch me
Hmm.
Mandalorian, which is which I think is, if you want to look at it, it's his original armor in Mando 1 felt like Razor Crest armor, right? It was like beat up and dusty and clunky.
Mhm.
Now
Yeah.
he's got this new
Right.
bright shiny Beskar. Now he's got this new bright shiny.
And
ship.
also, he doesn't have the baby, so he can ditch the soccer mom van,
Right.
the minivan,
right.
and now he can have his midlife crisis with his sweet.
He's got the top down.
That's true.
He's got the
classic
convertible.
car, his muscle car.
This is
I finally got my Corvette.
Right.
so
I've
I've
funny.
always wanted a freaking vet.
I was out
C3, baby.
Sarah and Huck and I were out driving, going somewhere, and there was a brand new Corvette. Like, they look
Yeah,
nice.
the
They,
new
they
one.
almost look like
Yeah.
Ferraris.
Now they look like these hyper
Yeah.
cars. They're
Oh,
like
yeah.
The C6 or 7, whatever the hell
It's
they're
crazy.
up to now. Yeah.
And it's gorgeous. And we're driving, and we pull up next to him. And I was like, "Hey, bud, look at that!" Because he likes really cool cars. And he looks over, and it's an older guy, probably in his 60s, like big white mustache, stupid hat, polo shirt. And Huck, who's 6, he goes, "Why is it always old guys in those cars?" And that's an amazing question that I don't know how to answer exactly, how to describe to a 6-year-old what a midlife crisis is, or
Yeah.
that you don't really
Late
have the
life
money to
crisis.
buy a Corvette
It's just
for no reason
practicality.
until you're 60. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's really funny.
Well,
Yeah.
it's interesting the guy had a new one and not like
Yeah.
a resto mod on like the 60s. You would think
Yeah.
that that dude would want to get the astronaut C2
Oh, right.
60s
Yeah.
resto
The split
mod.
window, yeah.
Yeah.
Stingray.
Oh, this baby's comfy, but she looks like the real thing from the outside.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Or like the
Doesn't
guys,
ride like one.
the worst ones are the ones who are like, "Oh man, I have always wanted this car," and they finally got a Corvette, and it's like a 1995, and you're like,
Oh,
because that's
yeah,
when they were in their
the
heyday,
worst.
was in the 90s, and it's just like, yeah, it's a rough looking Corvette. But anyways, reeling it back in. So
yeah,
at this point,
sexiness
still
was
though,
lost, but yes.
still, even though I love the fight and all the things, but the armorer, and now we've got Amy Sedaris, it's still, like your friend called it, the Encyclopedia of Boba Fett. It's just, it's all exposition and zero conversation. No
That's
one's
true.
having just a conversation about life and things. And I don't
They're
know.
fixing a car
Yeah, they're fixing the car.
and shooting the shit.
But
while they're
she
doing it.
exactly. But instead, she's like, it was commissioned by the princess of Naboo. It's like, yeah, we know.
Remember?
We
Yeah,
know
right.
all of these things, man. And also, Amy Sedaris knows nothing about Star Wars, and they let her improvise. That's where that's why there were line repeatings, and that's why it doesn't sound natural, because she doesn't talk like she lives there. She talks like an actress repeating
Yeah.
lines, and that it drove me absolutely bonkers to listen to her tell me the story of episode
Ken.
1.
I think we need to watch ahead, Nico, you and I, and then be like, okay, Matt, when you're gonna watch this episode, film yourself and let's get your reaction.
Reaction video.
That
At
sounds
minute
fun.
30. I'm not gonna tell you why. Just turn the camera on yourself
Yeah,
and
you're
push
gonna lose
play.
it. Yeah. Well, even putting the car together was a bunch of member berries, because they brought
Oh,
in
yeah.
that big tube from the Death
trash
Star,
compactor.
from the trash compactor. It's like,
Yeah.
can we not, for once, please just come up with something original?
Well, and then too, so that's at some point. I I guess I've just given in to the member berries because I just
Yeah.
was laughing, and it's like now he's going through Beggars Canyon.
Right.
Now he's doing the pod race track
Mhm.
exactly, and he's
Mhm.
doing this, that, the okay. I was just like, ooh. The fact that they're like, screw you, we're doing Phantom Menace member berries. I think
Yeah.
that's what I loved. I was
Yeah.
like, yes. Throw like again the fact that now a bunch of dudes are going on eBay and snatching up Phantom Menace merchandise that
Yep.
hasn't moved.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's a good point. I love
For
that
sure.
love
too
it.
now.
But I don't love it as good storytelling. It's true. I
Right.
just love it as this trolley meta
Yeah.
BS because I've been buying. Like, here's the thing: my little side project, my never-ending Star Wars thing I've been working on. Every time I'm like, I need a something. Oh, I need a droid something. Was it in the Phantom Menace? I bet there's like 7 versions of that thing
Yeah.
that never sold. That's
Yeah.
worth $3. Yep, there
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Not
That's
anymore.
so funny. But the
Touche.
stuff that is good, like the clone starfighter or the clone transport, things like that actually are worth something and people
Yeah.
don't sell. And if they do, they're
Oh,
expensive.
For
Or like
sure.
your
A
Venator
Republic gunship.
back there. Yeah, that's what it was.
Those
the
things are like
Republic ship.
$300. Oh yeah, this thing. This is like 150, 250 maybe.
Yeah.
To find
that-
a model.
Oh, is that a model? Yeah.
It's a mod. It's a Revell. Yeah.
Yeah.
I snatched another one because that was
Nice.
probably only 150. Yeah.
Nice. That's smart. That's why I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I
pick
have all
up
sorts of crap.
I pick up anything Razor Crest right now if I see it out there because it's gonna be a thing at some point in time.
This freaking crap.
Oh yeah, look at that little guy. What was that thing called? It was like the Republic.
The AT something. It was like, yeah, the early Walker thing.
Mhm.
The gunships.
Republic
These are
gunship.
like the more expensive.
Ooh, that's a good one.
die-cast, bigger ones. I threw some Micro Machine Stormtroopers I altered on there. Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, it's like all this crap exists and no one was grabbing
Mhm.
it.
And it'll be like that
Yeah,
again
they
too.
are.
We'll have that issue, but I
It'll be
loved.
a cool Clone Wars live action thing that'll be awesome.
Oh
someday.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure. I did love him flying through Beggars Canyon and test driving it, and
Because it
Oh.
looked cool.
it looks so cool.
I don't.
But
so-
then
But Nico,
you go first,
what
Nico.
did you not like?
Maybe you'll say
My-
the same thing I was gonna say.
my issue is the the controls.
Hmm.
So he pulls it up, right? He floats up,
Mhm.
and he's like, "Oh, it's a little clunky." And she's like, "You used to fly in a thing. You got to fly it like this. That's a starfighter."
Jeez.
So then what does he do? He
From before
pushes-
the war.
he pushes forward and he accelerates, right?
Right.
You're like, okay, so forward is fast and back is reverse
Yeah.
or something like that, right?
Yeah.
You're on a 2-dimensional plane, is what I'm getting. You're on a 2-dimensional plane. And then when he's like, let's see what it's got, and he just pulls straight back and it goes up.
Right. So
Wait.
what's going on? Yeah.
How does
Right. There's not like a side lever that's like altitude over here while
right
I'm
or like
steering.
how a
Yeah.
helicopter, right, has
Mhm.
like a general stick, and then on the side there's an up down.
Yeah.
Like he was like, this is forward, so this is clearly up.
Right. Yeah.
And it was just like I don't have the answer for it, but I would have
no, we
loved
do.
if somebody
We
just
already
would've-
had the answer.
yeah, if somebody
It-
would have just given it
yeah.
a second thought of like, okay, so we can't do the opposite motion in a 3-dimensional like, it's just that's my only bitch. And I did love also too that the it made it look badass with the twin guns on the front.
Oh
But
yeah.
what they forgot is there's that little like belly button where the torpedoes come out of. Because remember in
mean?
episode 1
On the
when
underside?
when Anakin goes into the
Yeah, when he's
he
stuck
goes
in
into
the
the droid ship and he's like, oh no, and he
power won't work. Yeah.
he pushes forward to shoot the missile out of like the little nozzle in the front. So it's like not only so this Naboo fart, it also has this
Wonderful.
nozzle in the front, and now it's got twin guns. Where, how,
Yeah.
what is
Apparently
Mhm.
pushing
How are
forward just
you-
does everything.
yeah.
When
It's
you
the
need
MacGyver
it to.
answer.
It's a plot. Yeah, it's a plot device. Yeah.
But I just thought it was super funny because they put the twin guns, which again makes it look super badass.
Right.
But then they've got like the air intake, which is completely unnecessary.
Yeah. Well, and then he goes into
But again, you
space.
get this. Sorry,
No.
Yeah.
Go. You go first.
I mean, it's a whole design thing, and it's like I've talked
for
about the Batmobile. I talk about
Mhm.
all these different design things where it's like it's hearkening to it's taking the real world thing,
Yeah.
it's creating this futuristic fake analog and going, okay, you get it, right? It's this. Yeah, the X-wing. It's a drag race thin one of those little cars that has a parachute that pops out of it. But
Mhm.
if you put wings on it, it's in space. It's fast. You get it's fast. Yeah. So it's like I feel like designs that work well enough.
Mhm.
But that one, it's true from a practical standpoint. It's true. The X-wing, you get the aerodynamics. You go, I get it. It's
Mhm.
sound. Yeah, but it's souped up.
Right. And I,
love it.
like I said, I let it slide because it looks super cool. But like I said, that was when I was talking about how they it looks like they just say, you know what, let's just have fun right now.
Yeah. Let's
Let's
make
get a little nutty.
How can we make the thing that no one was getting a boner over cool?
Yeah. And it is cool. It's very cool.
And two, this is Doug Chang is like a head honcho over there, and
Yeah.
I don't know that he designed that, but I mean that dude, he he bid into Star Wars. That was his entry point, was the Phantom Menace.
Mhm.
So
Right.
that's where he pissed his pants and became a artistic man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phantom
And all of these
Menace.
designs at this point are 25 years old. All this stuff
Yeah.
is not, it's as old as the original Star Warses were when the prequels came out.
And that's a funny thing is like thinking about that. I'm like, yeah, this is like a classic car. But even
Mhm.
then, we have classic cars that are much older than what the Naboo Starfighter is to that time.
Yeah.
On Tatooine.
And I know that there was something
25 years.
yeah, I think something
30?
like that.
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing too where, okay, I'll keep complaining, I guess. I'll just do it.
Yes.
fine.
Yeah.
What we're here to do is
You have-
complain
Yeah.
about Star Wars.
You have 9 minutes.
Yeah,
to
we got
complain.
9 minutes to go. Him flying through Beggar's Canyon, and the ramp that Anakin flies through as a kid, all those pieces are still there. And I was like, okay, on a sand planet, all the pieces are just still exposed after 20 years. Okay, good, got it.
Yeah.
Time doesn't exist.
Yeah, the gate that was broken never
Yeah.
got fixed. It's just still as if
Permanently
yeah,
busted.
exactly.
Never got covered in blowing sand or anything like that during the
They should have had
sandstorms.
Aura Singh like in a wheelchair. Is that the bounty hunter that is just spotted for a split second during that scene? She should be an old lady sitting in a with a walker.
Yeah.
She's been there the whole time.
I'm still
That would
waiting
be
to
the-
shoot some pod races.
That would be the perfect. Yeah, and then have the Tusken Raiders camped out with their skeletons.
Like
Go all the
Pirates of
way.
Caribbean.
Follow through.
Yeah. But then he flies up into space. And now we have to have a Mandalorian member, Barry? It's got to be that same X-Wing fighter
Oh
guy?
my God. And,
I was like,
and
wait, what?
talk
No.
about the New Republic. No wonder they suck, because it's like this guy. Okay,
Yeah.
can we have cool people that seem capable flying
Yeah.
the X-wings and not these Joe schmoes?
Exactly. It's Porkins Part 2.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, what's going on? Who hired him to fly this thing? And he's like, your voice sounds kind of familiar. It's like, no, it doesn't. There's no way you recognize his voice, and there's no way you remember the Razor Crest. Stop it. Stop it. Just knock it off. It could have been just two badass guys who were equally young and badass as the Mandalorian, and they're like, whoa, your thing doesn't have a thingy. And he's like, I know, it's too old, it doesn't have a thingy. And they're like, well, it needs to have a
just got
thingy.
it.
You better
Get
pull
your
over.
thingy, bro.
Yeah, exactly. And then he guns it, and they're like, let's chase him, and they can't catch him. That would have been just as good as a member berry with Porkins Part 2. I mean, it just, I know, I get it. It's like, they're like, oh, well, let's bring back the actor because we like him a lot. Whatever the reasons are.
I don't even know if he's an actor. I think he's like a 501st member that won
really?
a
He's an
lottery or
actor. He's on a show. He's
Yeah,
on
he's got a
the
headshot.
same show that Shang-Chi is on, that Steve Lee is on.
Oh,
Anyway,
either way,
There you go.
it was
so
unnecessary.
two issues with that, and I'm in line with you. I thought it was silly when he showed up
Mhm.
because the first issue is in space. I can't imagine that these guys aren't like troopers, like state troopers, where you've got like a
have a
territory that you
spot.
monitor,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he's apparently just everywhere.
Spider Planet,
He's
Tatooine,
all over the place.
wherever. Yeah.
Right, wherever he needs to be. And then the second issue was they did first he calls the guy lieutenant, which is a pretty significant rank.
Right.
So he must outrank him. But if that was the case, these two guys wouldn't be on like a charter ship patrol.
Yeah.
Joe Schmo.
They wouldn't
Yeah.
be like monitoring the transport ships.
Well, definitely not two
They're not-
lieutenants don't go anywhere together
Right.
ever.
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
and then they end it with
Reno 911 over here.
then they end it with the paperwork joke of
Yeah.
like, well, that's gonna be a lot of paperwork. You feel like doing it? Nope. And they fly away. Like,
Sure, let's
yeah.
go find another thing in another episode that we're going to show up in for 5 minutes and do nothing.
I was like, oh, you guys, it would have been right. It would have been super good if he would have been like he just accelerates, like he's making a break for it, and you get this nice little like chase,
Mhm.
and then like the nitrous scene, and then they're just like, they look at each other like, you want to call it? Nope, and just leave it at that. Like, don't
Yeah.
make the paperwork joke. Don't do any of the I recognize your voice. Don't do any of that shit.
or
'cause
I got to
it
give you
doesn't
one of
matter.
those. Whatever. Any other
Well,
line
'cause didn't
other
they-
than
Or
that.
They-
is that a updated Naboo Starfighter with aftermarket updates and it didn't need a hyper ring to go into light
Yeah, well,
speed?
that's so-
Wow. They
Oh,
should have
so-
said that.
So get this too. So that whole dialogue where they're talking about like, you sound familiar and blah blah blah. He makes a reference to the when the Razor Crest was on the planet where the Jedi beacon was, because he says like, we have the Razor Crest registered with an incident with the those Empire guys that showed up, because remember there were two
Right.
and then but remember what happened to the Razor Crest at the
It
end of
got
that
blown
episode?
up.
Yeah. It got built up.
Evaporated.
Yeah.
So it's like, why that whole string of dialogue was like, it was registered with an incident, and in my head I was like, I'm pretty sure they handled that incident.
Yeah.
How?
All right.
Like, I don't know if there's much more to do there.
Yeah.
Like,
Like we're
what?
good.
I mean, and the only thing that could have been like, maybe he recognized his voice is because wasn't he was one of the pilots that saved him on the ice planet, right, from the
Yeah.
spiders.
Yeah.
So like, and he talked to Cara Dune and stuff like that. So like, maybe
Yeah,
he was
maybe.
trying to find out, maybe they're trying to bring him in. But here's the thing, there's, as of 5, there's only 2 episodes left.
Mm-hmm.
That's not enough time to rope him back in
Right.
for something in 2 episodes.
Yeah, because they don't. Here's the other. If we want to talk about problems in this expanded universe,
We
is
do.
it's getting Marvel-y, where it's like, we're gonna drop this character in, and then maybe you'll see him again in 5 years.
Yeah.
But
Right.
we're gonna set him up now in this little moment, so it can pay off in 5 years
Yeah.
in some other random show or movie or
Mhm.
animated series. Lord knows,
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, and it wasn't even like
Mhm.
his knowing who the Mandalorian was or thinking he knows what was any sort of benefit. It's not like the ship was limping along and they were gonna impound it for some sort of reason, and he needed like a lift back home. He was fine.
Yeah.
So it's not even like he did the, oh, I know him, he saved me in Nam kind of thing. Like, it wasn't even like that. It was just the, hey, I recognize you, and then he takes off,
Yeah.
and they're like, well,
Well, and that's the thing. It could have been way cooler just doing that too. He saddles up to him and he looks over. It's pretty unmistakably Beskar armor. And just been like,
Right.
"Hey, Mando." Yeah, it's like
Right,
nice planet. Right.
instantly
Cool. Good to
recognize
see
him.
you. Yeah.
Be
Have a
like,
good day.
hey, Mando, what you doing?
Yeah.
It's like, that doesn't, like, the Razor Chest got a paint job. Like, make a quippy joke like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, play with it. Play with the fact that
Yeah,
he recognizes Mando.
well, look who it is.
Yeah. Instead of Memberberry City for no reason.
Yeah, for all the
Yeah.
wrong reasons.
And then, so, wrap it up. We'll bring it then to the end. So finally, the Mandalorian ends up. So it's just hilarious because we finally get a reprieve from the boring nonsense of the Mandalorian of Book of Boba Fett.
Yep.
And cut to the first thing that we see of Boba Fett after this nice little break is them standing around that goddamn map again, talking about the goddamn territories that no one gives a you know what about, and Boba Fett just brooding, saying nothing.
Is that in this episode?
Yeah, it's the very end of this one.
I thought it's the end of the next one.
Oh no, you're right. It is the end of the next one. I just spoiled
Yeah,
everything.
Because this one is literally. Here's the thing. That's the problem with this one. Is Fennec Shan
she shows up. That's
at
right.
What's her butts, and she's like, Boba Fett needs your help. Here's some money, and he's like, I'll do it for free, but I gotta go do something first. And you're like, oh. At least that's what I did. I was like, oh my God, we're going to have a side quest on the side quest.
Yeah.
They're doing my joke of a flashback within a flashback within a flashback. They're doing it.
Yeah. Oh, it's so crazy. Yeah. First, I got to go see a little friend. It's like, what could he possibly be doing?
Oh, yeah. So we didn't even talk about that. Just super quick before we transition. Because somebody pointed this out on Twitter when I was reading about it, that when Mandalorian goes to see the armorer, he gives her the spear and says, I can't remember what he says. He's basically like, I have a spear made of Beskar. And her response is, Beskar is for protection, not for offense. So she makes it, and she makes the cute little something we don't know for Grogu. But then what happens? We then cut to them fighting where she's attacking him with like a Beskar hammer. So it's like, okay, so a Beskar spear is bad, but a Beskar hammer, totally cool. Like,
well, I mean, she has to use the best. Yeah, you can't forge Beskar unless you use Beskar, probably. So you have to.
I understand the logistics of it. It's just like,
but no, I get you. She's turning her
point.
tool into a weapon, and you're like, dude, you just said don't use it as a weapon. Yeah,
right.
That's true.
Right, pretty much.
It was interesting though, because to say. She was saying, this thing is a threat to other Mandalorians because it can pierce Mandalorian armor, so it could be turned as a weapon against us. But you can keep the Darksaber. That's fine. Like, wait, what? I don't understand. And I gotta forge this into something. What should we forge it into? A billion tiny little rings. There was plenty left over, I'm sure.
Oh, she got away with murder on that one. Yeah, what do you want to make?
She took a little off the top.
Yeah.
I want to make a sweater for a toddler. Okay.
The wee one.
I was going to take all of it. Look away. Walk away for a while because it's going to take it the whole thing.
There were a few moments in... you guys ever watch the new Rockstars stuff? I'll watch it just to kind of freshen up my thing. It's a little too. It's YouTube guy who's like, "Hey guys, welcome to the new Rockstars. I'm going to talk about every little detail of every little thing of every little Star Wars thing." And they just like they go through the episode, and he's like,
"Are they like, here's the 500 Easter eggs you missed?"
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that kind
one of those
type of videos.
Yeah. He's like, they used to let the color green in this because green means green stuff, and you're just like, oh, that's a stretch, but okay. But one of their hidden details was that they're like, you see, they were talking about Grogu because the thingy looks like his head, and they play the Grogu theme, and it was like missing detail number or hidden detail number 15. I was like, hidden what? There's nothing hidden in this show at all.
Here's the problem with those is they have to crank them out so fast that there's nothing enlightening hardly ever.
Right.
They just have to get them done.
Yeah.
And so when people comment or like, this is a nothing fact, it's like, because they had to produce that video real quick.
Yeah.
So there's
because
nothing
it gets
of value here.
1.5 million views in 24 hours. So, they're doing okay. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it works. But like at the end of the day, there's nothing that any half fan doesn't already know. Yeah.
Oh, and somebody would argue that wasn't intentional. But on second watching,
of course it was.
It's intentional as hell.
But when the armorer gives it to him, she like specifically fluffs up the little things to make it much more ear-like.
Oh yeah.
You should have a Sharpie and draw a little face on it. There you go.
Boop, boop. Yeah, it was 100%.
And then she touches his helmet. Boop.
Yeah.
she just licks it and puts it on his visor. So he's like, God. See how hard this is to clean?
That's a great bit. That should be on one of them. Some jerk just like, okay, so the Book of Boba Fett, you want to do that that secretary scene when he's like, I want to see the mayor, and the guy just goes, Right on his visor. That would be
Oh, that's funny.
amazing.
Well,
That's a Taika Waititi thing because they would think of that, but not.
It just made me think that basically like you could just murder all the Mandalorians just by shooting them with like a fire extinguisher, and the foam just covers their mask, and they can't see anything now, and they can't take their helmets off. So there you go. That's it. That's hilarious.
Yeah, stormtroopers and Mandalorians are dead immediately.
Yeah,
because
you
none of
don't
them
need
can see
lasers.
anything.
Just a little goo. Just block it out.
Just a little goo. That's my motto.
Just a little goo.
Hey, don't worry about it. This is going to be a little goo.
On that note,
Ironically,
wanna roll?
that's the title of Chapter 6 of the Book of Boba Fett. Just a
Just
little goo.
goo.
Boom, do-go-do-go-do. Just a little goo.
Oh man, that theme song, I'm tired of it.
Yeah, it's rough, man. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that guy knocked it out of the park.
What do
with
they
the
do? It's got
Mandalorian,
like
and
the
then-
what's the indie grass, bluegrass dudes that are like annoying, the hipster, like steampunk bluegrass guys. What
Yeah.
was that band like 15 years ago?
Oh, man. I don't know. Steampunk bluegrass.
It'll come back to me.
oh,
That
yeah, yeah.
song that was big.
Yeah, Mumford and Sons?
Mumford and
Yeah,
Sons.
yeah.
That's
I like
got like
Mumford and
Mumford and Sons vibes.
Yeah. Well, I
I'm
like
in a
the
good place
initial
right now.
drop. The initial drop is great. The home, like that's great.
Yeah.
But it's when
the
thing is,
hum-de-dums.
well, yeah. But why not
Yeah,
just
the
give them?
hum-de-dums.
Why not write it like
The
an
song's got a
actual
case of the
song?
hum-de-dums.
Yeah, it could be in Klingon or something. Like give it actual words, and then that way, yeah. But instead, it's
That'd
just
be
a
way better.
guy just going dum da dum 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 dum.
Because it's that one dude, like sitting in his bathrobe during the pandemic, going, "I gotta bang out more crap." Woof. Wee bop bee bop beam bomb boom.
Woof.
Yeah, literally sitting in his.
Hum-de-dum-dum.
You know he was in his bathrobe and probably recording in his bathroom
Yeah.
because he liked the acoustics.
Yeah. The Smoking Hot Nerds will even poop on your theme song.
Because again, okay. So here's my thing. I have learned a great, I've uncracked a secret. I should be on the Joe Rogan Experience with
Yeah.
this nugget of learning. What I've discovered from Star Wars fandom and us wanting to crap on Star Wars is what just it's we love to complain as human beings,
Yeah.
right? The problem is politics. It got too heavy in politics. We all need to force our complaininess into things like Star Wars. This is why Star Wars is healthy for society,
Right.
because we can put all of our vigor on something that doesn't matter
Yeah.
instead of
Right.
something that does matter.
Yeah.
And I get that people get fired up about things that matter,
Right.
but it doesn't
But
seem
at
to
the
be
end of the
working
day,
too well right now.
Do they really matter? That's the crazy thing, is that, you know, uber woke cancel culture has almost become synonymous with extreme conservative culture. Where it's like-
There's like a flip flop that
Yeah.
kind of happens because when you're on either extreme, you get very close to each other.
It's like a circle.
Like a loop.
Yeah,
exactly.
For sure. If I say anything sexual, it's offensive, but also don't have sex. Those are two different types of viewpoints, conservative and woke, but they're saying,
Yes.
but it's similar, you know, that's it's kind of annoying, but we thankfully have chapter 6 of Boba Fett to really center
We do.
vitriol towards.
To take our energy and pump it towards this thing.
I watched some reaction videos for chapter 6 rather, and it's hilarious
Oh.
because people,
Was it a certain character that became live action?
both little characters, yeah, and people were just so happy, and so like girls were crying and guys were like, yes,
Wait.
Luke.
When we're
'Cause when
I forgot
Grogu
that
shows
Luke
up.
again.
Yeah.
I gotta say, he looks a lot better.
Luke,
They
Yeah, they
made him
stepped it up.
look
Yeah.
a lot
yeah, they
better.
killed it.
They
did a great job.
Fixed that crap. There's only like one scene in the house that I was like, okay, it's starting to look a little weird.
But yeah,
Mhm.
the
Outside,
actor,
he looked great.
the actor was at a weird angle, so it was like a weird profile. It was like a 3/8 profile, and it was just it didn't line up right.
Mhm.
It's like they finally deep faked it or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what they did.
Well, I believe that there was a guy who deep faked the Mandalorian finale from season 2, and that Lucasfilm hired the deep faker to come work
really?
there, and that's why the vast improvement has happened in Luke Skywalker. So we'll give it away right at the top. Chapter 6 of The Mandalorian. Sorry, Chapter 6 of Book of Boba Fett.
Easy to mistake.
Right. The Mandalorian travels to Luke's burgeoning new Jedi training center to see, Grogu. So we do get finally introduced to Grogu again.
How?
How do you feel about that?
No, just like let's. How?
What do you mean
'Cause
how? How does he get there?
How does he find him?
Yeah, how any of that? Because all we know at the end of season 2 of the Mando is he asked for permission to go to summer camp, and then Luke's like, I got him. That's all we hear of it. It's not like they've been exchanging letters or anything like that. Like, how does he on all the planets in the universe? How does he oh, I know where he is.
I think
I
they
don't know.
tap like how you can tap smartphones and get info. Luke tapped his lightsaber to the dark saber and was like, "We'll be in touch,
There it
bro."
is.
Oh, we're connected now. Yeah, that was
That's
just
a
one of the
legit
things
question.
I
I don't even know.
Was like, how does he? Because you here's the thing, here's the real thing. That's information that you would probably want to keep on high wraps.
Yeah.
That would not be very public information.
Where the dude who brought down the Empire, where he's
2
wanting
times.
to start up, twice, blew up. Well, no, he only blew up one Death Star. He was just on the second Death Star.
He escaped the second one, yeah.
He
He's killing his dad.
Was there when the Emperor was thrown down a shaft.
Right. But that's info that would not
But
just
that was
be like
but that was
around.
just a clone, so that didn't mean anything.
That's
I
funny.
learned in Rise of Skywalker.
So that was
Nothing
the
means
thing that
anything.
was kind of like meh. I don't. Okay, I'm gonna let it slide.
It's true. He just magically knows where to go.
Yeah.
And two, there is something to be said for that's such a big moment, and he immediately goes back to Grogu when you feel like there's this buildup of, oh man, they're gonna be separated now.
Yeah.
And then immediately,
Yeah.
he knows where to go.
Well,
Yeah.
Nico, you said 2 episodes ago of our podcast that the problem with Book of Boba Fett is it doesn't have a Grogu.
Grogu.
Right.
Well, fuck it. Let's just put Grogu in
Just
it.
put the Grogu
Problem
in.
solved.
The actual Grogu. It really is. I was really excited for season 3 of The Mandalorian. That was just him on a different quest, a fully different quest. Even 2 more
Now
seasons.
it can be.
Sure.
And then you bring Grogu back in a very meaningful way. That's what I was really hoping for. And like you said, it went right back to him. It's kind of a meh. I don't know.
Well, and
Well,
special. Oh, go ahead.
No, it's interesting because when he left and said, "I've got," I would have thought that he would have put going to the mines on Mandalore at a higher priority because that's his identity, right?
Yeah.
Mandalorian is his identity, not caretaker of Grogu. That mission is accomplished, right?
Yeah.
His mission was to
Mandalore's
deliver.
going to take budget.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
good
Yeah, yeah.
money.
Yeah.
So that's why when he was traveling, I was like, why is he like? I know he wants to deliver this item, but I don't understand why the motivation of. Because the other thing is, like, for what? Not to be like cruel or mean, but like for what? Like just.
He misses the time.
I know he misses him, and he's his foundling.
What
and
if
there's-
your baby went to summer camp right now?
Right.
And
But
they're
if
like, you might not see your baby for a long time.
But
And action, Nico.
He
What
can't-
would
No,
you
I
feel?
I understand that component of it, but like I said,
You're a deadbeat dad. That's what
Right.
you're saying.
That's what it is. Yes. The Mandalore's master, quote unquote, basically has put him in the shun box and said, "You are not until you
Right.
fix this.
Yeah.
Your identity is no longer yours. It is I have
Mhm.
stripped it from you.
And also, you're potentially King Arthur, but right now, yeah, you're in the
Mm.
doghouse.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you can't be. So that's why I the motivation to see the kid is definitely based on ratings and blah blah blah, but not in like real personal character motivation
Mhm.
because his first step would have been I am the Mandalorian. Like that is people literally call me Mando.
Mhm.
Like as in the Mandalorian. Like
Right.
you
I want
can't
him to
tell
have
me
a
I am
mirror
not
and
a
go,
Mandalorian.
me, Mandalorian. Me must go to cave.
We must
Right.
go to space camp.
So it just felt like a
But me
weird
miss
one.
baby.
And then so barring the not know how he got to the planet, you also have to remember how big planets are. And the fact that he is just like
Mm.
flying around. And then
Mhm.
we get the introduction of R2, which is great. He's got his little sensor beacon going.
Right.
And then he's like,
All those
maybe
rubber
is like, is
berries.
that maybe
Yeah.
how maybe how he knew where to go? But I don't know how that
Maybe.
works because there's a thing in the it's not the Force Unleashed. It's the video game with the redhead kid that they just put out for the Star Wars game. But it has the BD-8 unit, which is the tiny little two-legged unit from Chapter 5, where he's like, "Where does this
Oh,
go?" And he
yeah.
scans the part and he puts the part on the Naboo starfighter.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a BD unit.
Okay.
That's from the video game. In that
the
video
one that
game,
also got eaten by the rat thing.
Yeah. Well, it was
Yeah.
getting attacked by the
getting
womp rat.
attacked by it.
By the
Yeah,
womp rat
yeah.
that's supposed to be no more than 2 meters long is apparently evil and can eat ladies with afros. I don't
Well,
understand that.
2 meters is 6 feet. So anyway,
Yeah.
but
Apparently now.
so in the video, yeah. So in the
So
video
you
game,
say.
all
the
of a
video game,
sudden,
the BD unit and the R2 units, the R2 have a close connection. So was that how he found it? I don't know. That's a stretch of
Yeah.
information. But so he goes to the planet, R2
okay.
signals him, he lands. Season 1, Mando's like, no droids. Now he gets off the plane, he's like, hello, friend. Hey,
Mhm.
buddy. Hey, droid friend.
Evolution of
Uh,
a character.
Right, which is good. Plus, he also met
yeah,
him
he's
on
less
the,
of a bigot.
on the
Mhm.
ship, right?
And Nico over here is going, boo, boo. I want a bigot.
It's just an
I
observation.
need a
that it
droid
was-
racist.
He was so animately anti-droid, and now he's like, whatever. But then it's even funnier because then we find out that he's been duped. And that he's like, I want to see the kid, and Archie's like, yeah, come this way. And then he like sits him down, and he's like, where is it? And then they literally build him like a chair to sit in.
Right.
And then R2 shuts off, and he's like, oh, what the?
Which
So-
is pretty funny, you know.
Yeah, it's like,
Funny.
Yeah.
but still just like, what is happening?
Mhm.
What is going on here?
Let me first
Yeah.
quantify why I was mad about the Womp Rat thing from the previous chapter, just real quick.
Yes,
Because Womp
dude.
Rat is used as this term of affectionateness to little things all throughout the
Yeah.
Star Wars universe. And first of all, yeah, he does say 2 meters
That's
in.
no bigger than a womp rat.
Yeah, exactly. But if a womp rat's 6 feet long, that's a long ass animal. And so I
Yeah.
wouldn't be calling Baby Yoda, "Come here, you little womp rat." That's not a
Right.
I would be, "Come here, you little gerbil," or something like that, because
Yeah,
that doesn't make any
hamster.
sense.
Yeah.
You little space gerbil.
Which was kind of, frustrating in and of itself. But they did have a nice little moment where the camera is trucking to the left as Mando gets out, and R2 is in the background, and R2 actually gets framed inside of the bubble where
Did he?
the R2 unit should be. Yeah, it was cool.
Oh,
it just
nice.
kind of, as
Okay,
it's
okay.
passing through, there's like a little thing. So you're supposed to, I think, feel that R2 was not only happy to see Mando again, but he was also happy to see the Naboo starfighter that he once flew in.
You're right.
Yeah.
I remember when that little brat, I flew with him, and I thought he was going to get me killed.
Yeah.
And then we ended up blowing up that ship somehow because the dumb kid didn't know anything, but magically blew up that ship. And then he murdered all the Jedi.
In retrospect, it would have been great if the kid died. Because he ended up murdering a bunch of kids.
Maybe I wish I had been blown up that day.
Yeah.
I bet R2's got some PTSD, man.
R2,
Oh, yeah.
there should be someone needs to write the R2 memoirs.
Oh, that'd be
Oh my
good.
God.
Yeah.
He would have all the dirt on everybody.
Yeah. And then you just find out that R2 has
Remind
been
me of this.
pretty drunk for about
He's like Bender.
60 years. He's basically just Carrie Fisher, but as a droid, just
He's
constantly
just
riding
like
a high.
old catty bitch, just
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
oh, who you love Han Solo? I can tell you some things.
Yeah.
Take
Now,
a
are we
seat, kid.
introduced to Luke before we see Ahsoka or nah? I forget. I feel like we were, yeah, because it cuts.
It
so
goes-
it
it
cuts
cuts to
to
Luke.
Right, as soon as he
Grogu.
sits down.
yeah, it
Yeah.
cuts to the meditation moment, which is adorable. And little Grogu can't
little
meditate
frog
because he's too hungry for a
stuff.
frog, and and
He loves eating gross stuff. Yeah.
slurping down a good frog. It's a bit on the nose though. I don't know how they accomplished his Luke's dialogue. If they de-aged Mark Hamill's voice, or if they used what do you call it, deep fake, where they just take everything that he's ever said over the course of being young and just mixed it
It
together.
didn't sound like that. It
'Cause
didn't
it was-
sound.
but it was
didn't
very
sound like
choppy,
I
though,
mean,
at
he
some
is
times.
a voice actor, so
Yeah.
maybe he's able to mimic his earlier voice.
That's true.
He
That's
is
true.
a trained voice actor. Maybe.
That's a good point.
They might have.
No,
they might
it's
have
true,
been able
though.
to pitch it a little bit.
Now,
Yeah.
we don't need to go completely off the rails here, but how would you have felt if they did instead, right from the start, go with like Sebastian Stan,
Sebastian Stan.
or the guy who does play him actually looks kind of like him, because it's not the same guy who played him in the finale of The Mandalorian. It's a different guy. And he actually looks a little bit like him. And so how would
The
you
new
felt about
stand-in
that?
guy.
Maybe, I don't know.
You
Well,
can see him when he's running through the woods.
Yeah,
they didn't.
Yeah,
they didn't-
you can.
but he was an
Or you
actor.
can see the stunt guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But this guy did a good job of his posing and the way that he stands and stuff. I thought it was great. Definitely believed and bought that it was Luke. But I also was kind of like, what if we had just originally gone with an actor and just gone that route?
Right. I feel less worried about it now because it does look that much better.
Yeah.
In that Mandalorian episode, I was like, yeah, give me a Sebastian Stan because this is weird. It really bugged me.
Yeah.
Bugged me less, and maybe I don't know, I just don't care. I'm just
And we've
like,
seen Moff
whatever, I've
Tarkin.
seen Luke.
We've seen.
Like, here's the problem with Luke. It's again, Nico, back to your Titanic thing. I know everything turns to garbage.
Right. Yeah, it's tough.
So why do I care about him building his Jedi camp that's gonna completely implode?
And we have
Unless
to really.
they go off the rails and create a different like time galaxy. You know,
Right.
they branch off like a different reality.
Because we have to be concerned at this point that does Grogu end up burning down in the new
Does
house?
he
Like, what
die
happens to him?
because
Yeah.
of Kylo Ren?
Yeah.
Does Grogu get killed by Kylo Ren?
You want to
Really?
watch a demographic of people never touch Star Wars again?
Yeah.
Have Adam
Do that.
Driver kill Grogu? Oh my god!
Have the guy who raped that nice lady in the last duel 3 times.
Jodie Comer.
Have him kill
There
Grogu.
were 3 rapes.
Well, it was
Two.
one was consensual, one was kind of fun, and the third one was rape. Yeah.
Oh.
They only
okay.
showed it
The
twice, though, right?
Third was.
No, 3 times.
Did
His
they
perspective, her perspective, and Matt Damon's perspective.
Did
Oh,
they show
right, this
Damon's
is all
perspective? I don't remember that one.
Oh, maybe
So
not.
was
I don't-
every
there's
character
only two.
watching
Oh,
this
no.
sex scene?
2 times. What's that?
Was every character watching this sex
Yeah.
scene? So when you got every perspective, then at the
Matt
end,
Damon
No, I thought
had
it
a
was
hole
only
on the
two.
wall. It was
this
only 2.
non-consensual?
Yeah.
No, but you're not
You're
you're
right.
not wrong. It does carry that like the boat sinks, the horse wins the race thing, where like, so Luke's
Why
gonna make
should
this,
I care? Why should I be hopeful?
Yeah, he's gonna make this
Yeah.
school, but like what we didn't see in Force Awakens, Grogu.
Right.
We saw
Yeah,
the
that's
Ben
true.
Solo stuff. We saw, but there was no.
It's true.
Mhm.
And I think there was also mentioned. I would have to check the dialogue, but I could have sworn that like they said that Solo or Ben and the Knights of Ren were like the first students through Luke's school.
Oh, really?
Like I don't think it was established necessarily. Like he wasn't like the 8th class.
No, you're right. There was a
I think
line that
would make
they
sense.
were his first students, so that's why we're kind of like going, wait, is Grogu actually his first student? What's going on here?
So Grogu's gonna choose the chainmail.
Yeah,
right.
jumping way ahead to the end, right? When Luke gives him like
Spoilers.
so
That's
my least favorite thing about the Jedi structure and culture is the
it's fine.
is the sense of like ultimatums all the time.
Right.
You know, like the Ahsoka does a great job. I think her character's is she is quickly
It's like the
rising
best
up as my
Jedi ever.
favorite. Yeah. So she basically says, and Mando confronts her straight away when they meet. He says, "I thought you weren't going to train him," and she said, "I'm not. Luke is." And he says something to the effect of, "Well, how are you okay with that?" And she says it point blank, "It wasn't my choice.
Mm-hmm.
This is Luke's choice to train. I was given the same choice, and I said no. But I do not influence the choices of others. That is not like that's not the Jedi way kind of thing." Which was like, oh my God, that is so profoundly deep and amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to
she's like, "Do you want to hit?
You want to get high?"
She does have that vibe a little bit.
And then we get to the very, very end part where you know, and she even does a great job of talking to Mando about saying, you know, you can go see him. I can't stop you. And he's like, I'm going. She's like, however, this choice you're making is going to make it harder for him. So is this about you or is this about him? Which is like, this is some deep philosophical stuff, which is amazing. And then it cuts to later on after the awesome little Jedi training montage. And
that little rat can jump like nobody's business.
Right. So then we're cutting to the very end here, folks. And then we're going to roll it back. But the very end, the clincher in the scene is Luke sits Grogu down and he says he knows that Mando is there, and he's like, the Mandalorian was here and he brought you this, and it's this tiny little chainmail, which the costume department could have done a much better job.
Well, I just wish that it had been actual armor. I think that would have been super cool. Little shoulder pads, helmet little chesty
like
things.
His ears.
Yeah.
Well, no,
that's what I was hoping for.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Like that's the thing that was. I was also disappointed in too.
Frodo mithril.
It's because if
it's very mithril.
If we have the whole point of like, have you ever removed your helmet? And if the helmet is so key, then you're right. Why wasn't the gift a helmet? Obviously, when she hands him the little satchel, we see her making the rings. We know it's gonna be chainmail.
Yeah,
it's gonna be the mithril thing. Blah blah blah. But you're not wrong. Like, why wasn't it a mini Grogu helmet? Especially when he says it's for a specific foundling, which would have like, oh, so we got to account for the ears, you know, that kind of thing. And then so he gives them the chainmail and says, this is from the Mandalorian. And he's like, however, he's like, and then he pulls out Yoda's saber, which is like the boner member barrier thing, whatever. He's like,
I forgot about that.
And he sets it down, and it's funny because he sets it down and he turns it away from him, like the "don't look down the barrel, Luke" kind of meme. And he says, you have a choice. You know, you can take this and go to the Mandalorian. And it basically says, if you choose this, you're done here, because the Jedi do not have attachments. However, I want you to get attached to this lightsaber.
Right. Yeah.
So it's
get
like,
attached to what I'm putting down.
Yeah, it's like, damn it, you can't do this attachment, non-attachment thing.
Number 3, a Snickers.
He's like, I also have,
in the middle.
And he just
Grogu just goes for the Snickers and then credits, and you're like, what does that mean?
You just see him with the chocolate dipped frog.
Yeah,
and the foot sticking out of his mouth.
I would kind of like that better because you're like, Grogu is chaos.
Yeah.
God, he doesn't care about the Mandalorian or becoming a Jedi.
He just wants frogs, man.
He just wants to eat things. That would be my ending.
Yeah, I understood what they were trying to do in making the delineation between you have this deep bond attachment Mandalorian where it's like family first, and then you have the Jedi Order, which is you are on your own, but then the offering of like no attachments. However, look at this amazing lightsaber that has so much history.
But also, talking about the character of Luke, he had attachments but
Right.
we prove that if you have something to die for,
Mm-hmm.
that can be more powerful
Agreed.
than just being this like robot who is trained in this dogma.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like George Lucas's, his misstab with the prequels is they're all sitting in their ivory tower. Even Yoda
Literally.
is completely disconnected,
Yeah.
and that's their dogma. It's worked, but yeah, you
Mhm.
follow through to Luke, and you go, you know what? Maybe if you care about people and you have attachments, maybe it makes you care and fight for it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Why do guys go to war? Because they got a little baby. Why do pilots fight in a war? Because they have a lovely lady they can stick
Picture
on
of the
their,
sweetheart? Yeah.
Yeah, no wrong.
So I want to talk about myself for a second.
Please, I've been
Great.
waiting all night.
Yeah. You know how everybody has the I thought of Uber before Uber sort of
Sure.
thing. You know, everyone's got one of those. Well, you guys know legitimately. So after the
Yes.
first season of
You
The
did.
Mandalorian, I wrote a pilot called Smugglers, and I'd always intended to make it, and then 2020 and blah blah blah, and just kind of never happened. I should have like given it to somebody or something like that at some point in time. But essentially, the conceit of this pilot was that it's smugglers. It's that kind of dirty, gritty sort of Mando season 1 sort of feel of guys running junk through the galaxy, and they get a shipment to run some junk, and they get attacked, and they don't know why. What's so popular? What's so special about this thing?
What's in this load?
Yeah, and then boom, this box falls out of it during a battle, and it's this little tiny lightsaber. And we don't talk about it. No one says what it is, but the tagline at the end of the episode is one guy goes, "What is that?" Or he goes, "Is that what I think it is?" And the guy goes, "It's not what, it's whose." And then boom, cut to black.
Right.
And so it was giving some potential tie-in, of course, to Mandalorian and stuff like that. But instead, Dave Filoni just decided to jizz all over it and just be like, "No, fuck it, we're just gonna bring back the lightsaber with no ceremony, no backstory, no history, no stakes. Again, no stakes." It's just like, this is a lightsaber that belonged to Yoda, this guy that I talked about earlier, who talked in riddles because I have to explain everything about Star Wars to everyone all the time in this goddamn show.
Right. That creature you look like, we're gonna hit every little note we can
Yeah.
possibly with it.
not
Would
even
you
a
like to
member
walk
berry.
with a little cane? Because let me
I
tell you, I
got
have a
one.
little
Yeah.
cane, a little curvy little cane.
There's some chocolate inside of R2. You want to dig through and find it?
Get in there.
Get in there. A little wafer cracker in a backpack.
Would you like some little snakies? Do you want
Yeah.
this to feel more like a swamp?
Tell you what, why don't you ride on my back like my master did on Dagobah, and I'm going to run around and jump in circles just like we did on Dagobah.
I love that. That was.
Mm,
I remember
grumpy.
when I saw it, it drove me insane because, not the jumping scene, but when the first introduction of them walking through the woods, and the fact that he almost has like the audacity to just kind of pick up Grogu and scoot him forward, like he just can't wait for him, like he just
I
can't slow
love
the
it.
hell down.
Yeah.
He just keeps like scooting him forward, like come on.
This
Come
happened after Grogu learns,
Yeah.
or quote unquote remembers.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I love. It's like Grogu learns how to jump, and then Luke's like, "Okay, bitch, we're gonna walk."
Yeah, I got long legs. Let's go.
Come with me.
Scoop.
So let's go back to that moment where that was to me the worst like dialogue that they gave the new fake real Luke was he said, does anyone from back home talk like Yoda? Do you even remember back home? Here, let me touch your brain and tell you how to remember stuff. It was just like, when did he suddenly turn into like the Hall of Presidents from Disneyland? It's just like,
Yeah.
what is happening?
Well, he's already animatronic,
Yeah.
so why not?
But the one moment from this entire show that I was finally like, ooh, was Baby Yoda getting, watching his Jedi protectors getting murdered
Destroyed.
by
Watching
clone
everyone get
troopers.
destroyed by the 501st.
Yeah. Because strangely, somehow, the Clone Wars has become way more interesting than any other aspect of Star Wars at this point. Isn't that weird?
I knew it. You know why?
Why?
Because it's stormtroopers teamed up with Jedi, and that's cool. It was just done crappily,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still the potential is sky high. It just didn't reach it.
Such an interesting point. Yeah. But we do
Just because
see
it doesn't done well doesn't mean it's not a good idea.
right.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Because we already know at this point, we've known all along. Well, I don't remember when we learned it, but that presumably Grogu had been at the temple. Oh, Ahsoka talks about it because she goes into his brains in season 2 of Mandalorian.
Let me go into this baby's brains.
But
Hold
first,
on.
take a hit, Grogu.
Do you have to go into a baby's brains, Nico? How you doing?
No, I'm good. I just we got a comment on YouTube. Luke
from my
said,
brother?
the book
Yep.
of Boba Fett is very much like the Bible. Each chapter has nothing to do with the person with whom the book is named after.
That's a good point.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're knees deep in Deuteronomy.
Yeah. Oh, we are. This is totally Leviticus. It's just all laws. It's just
Yeah.
exposition and rules.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, you know all
Laying
those
down
guys
the-
in the Middle East named Mark.
Yeah. But yeah, so we see Luke sort of conjures up some memories of Grogu, and we see him helpless as Jedi are being, killed by clone troopers, during so
The
it happens
Purge.
that point. If it was the Jedi Temple, it's happening during Revenge of the Sith, right?
Yeah,
at
that's
some point in
revenge.
time.
That's when
Yeah.
Anakin takes the 501st and they
Yeah.
march in and murder everybody.
Now, have you
Yeah.
seen the pervasive fan theory about where Grogu is during this moment?
No,
He's in the
go.
cafeteria. What's
He's in the
the,
crapper.
deep?
He just picked up a burrito bowl and he's just ready. He's just hanging out.
He's at Panda Express.
Taco Tuesday.
So the fan theory is that if you watch the scene again, which I did, I watched the episode again. The clone troopers killed the Jedi, and then
Yep.
they say something like "this way," and they just start running. They don't say "get the kid." There's another Jedi, anything like that. And the theory is that Grogu is actually hidden inside R2-D2. And then when R2-D2 and C-3PO get shipped off the planet during that battle, he's been hidden inside of R2, and then they, fuck off wherever they go. Which I don't remember where they go. Because there is
like
a
R2 go to
was somewhere
Mustafar.
else.
No, because R2 and C-3PO were there because doesn't Anakin send Padme off during all of that, and then he hops back in and keeps on murdering?
Okay.
I'd have to look at that again. I could have swore that R2 was somewhere else during.
R2.
No, R2 and C-3PO
I don't know
think
where R2 is.
we're at the temple.
C-3PO is with Padme at her pad,
Yes.
at her bitchin' senator's loft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because then Anakin shows up, I think, after the fact, and she's like, "What's happened?" He's like, "Oh, it's all good, babe. Don't worry, babe."
Right,
I guess
right,
I
exactly.
don't.
Okay,
I
we're going
don't.
to look it up right now.
I guess I don't ever assume that
Mm.
R2 isn't with Anakin at all times, or
It's
at
true.
almost all
so,
times.
so R2 comes in with Anakin flies his Jedi fighter to Padme's after I think he attacks the Jedi Temple, and R2 is there. So R2 has been with him.
Yeah.
He's in the fighter,
But
or
I
he's
think
at the senator's
He's
place.
with the fighter, I think.
Mhm.
Oh, that would be bonkers.
That's a wacky theory, though. That's a
Right?
lot of stretch because
Yeah.
why it wouldn't be? No, that wouldn't make.
It would make sense that because
No.
if you look at his point, and I was trying to look at it when I watched it, I was
Mhm.
trying to look for reflections in
Mm.
Grogu's eyes, and all you get is blaster bolts. Like you don't get like
No hints.
one of these.
Yeah.
So it would track though, and I'm not mad at that idea that he was, yes, like nestled away somewhere, and obviously the troopers would just let a droid go by
Right.
because they're not force sensitive, right? So they're not,
Mhm.
and they're also assuming that the Jedi are big people, so they're not gonna look at a protocol droid or an R2 unit that's just kind of humdy dum flying around. So I'm not mad at that theory. I
Right.
don't know if it's specifically R2 because I think Anakin would have been able to be like, hang on.
Yeah.
Like, he would have been like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
R2. like he would have sent, especially if he's in kill Jedi mode. I'm sure his like Jedi radar, his Force radar was through the roof. So
Well,
he
I
would have been
mean,
like, "Hey,
he was getting pretty excited finding those, taking the elevator up to find those other younglings. Like, he was
Right.
pretty busy being like,
but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
wanted to secretly do this.
Yeah.
I don't mind that theory.
I didn't know
Maybe
till
not
now.
R2 though. Like,
Yeah.
a separate.
There
unit.
is a moment
Yeah,
though that
I don't think R2 would make sense.
I need to hop in. I mean, I don't think I can. I'm trying to see if there's like the full movie anywhere, because it would be a very austere scene.
Disney Plus. Yeah, get us brought to you by our sponsor. Disney.
Ah!
That thing we're watching this show that we're complaining about.
Yeah.
That platform.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Yeah,
I'll
Disney
just hop
Plus. If
on
you want
Disney
to throw
Plus.
us a buck,
Yeah.
some space bucks, some,
I'm trying to-
Plus, bro.
some Imperial credits.
Jeez, I'm stupid.
No, you're not stupid. It's a new world.
It is a new world.
With
I was looking at
10,000 streaming platforms.
this is seen on YouTube, but there is a moment in which C-3PO, Padme, and R2D2 leave the Jedi Temple, because then they end up back on like Mustafar,
No,
and then he
Padme
slaps her
is
in the
never
face,
on the temple.
or not
so
leave the temple,
Padme's-
but they leave Coruscant rather.
They're on Coruscant. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, let me think how this works. So, R2 goes with Anakin when he goes to Mustafar,
Mhm.
and then he murders all of the Confederacy or whatever
Right.
they called it that
Yeah.
moment.
Exactly.
He finally
The
kills
Separatists.
Newt Gunray, all those ding dongs.
Yeah.
So R2's with him then. And he's like, stay on the ship. I'm going to go murder because I'm evil now, R2. He says all that, and R2's like, bleep, bloop. And then C-3PO comes with Padme when she is going to go and be like, Anakin, what's going on? And Obi-Wan has snuck onto her ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that I know.
No, I like the fan theory. I just don't think they got the droid right.
Okay, I'm looking real quick here.
It's D7R4 is the droid.
It's how do you make Grogu into tech letters? It'd be GRG0
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Gurgu.
So when Order 66 happens in Star Wars Episode 3, R2 is confirmed to be on Coruscant. The movie doesn't show him during the actual executions of the
We
Jedi,
don't know where he is.
but
I
he
think
is
he's stuck
shown
on
to
the
be.
ship.
Yeah, he is shown to be on Anakin's ship when he arrives at Padme's house immediately after. He just wiped out some younglings at the
Bow,
temple,
bow.
and then he went to see Padme to say, I love you, before he goes to Mustafar.
It's all good, babe. I'm just gonna go take off. Don't worry about it.
Right.
It's all fine. I'm a good guy.
But obviously R2 is acting because there's a moment between him and C-3PO, and you know he's acting weird because he's like, bro, like he just whacked a bunch of kids. Like I don't know what to do here. And C-3PO is just like
his eyes
usual.
are red.
Yeah, his eyes are also happen to be yellowish red. So it's possible, but then the thing is, why was R2 so happy to see Grogu at the end of the Mandalorian season 2, which we all just inferred that he was happy to see him because he looks like Yoda. That's what I assumed.
And also because fan crap. And I think creators put fan crap onto characters when it doesn't make sense.
Right.
Because you go, we want this to happen. It doesn't
Mhm.
make sense. Who cares? Yeah.
True.
Now, granted,
It's also entirely
it gives
possible
them
that
a gateway for that.
if Grogu was being trained at the temple, that they during like the Clone Wars or something, they could have had interaction. Like,
Yeah.
it's entirely feasible that
Yeah,
R2
sure.
and Grogu have bumped into each other prior to all of this.
Mhm.
R2 has to be doing something while Anakin is not flying his Actus class interceptor.
Right. Is that
Wow.
what it's called? Deep
I think
cut,
I have
bro.
that Lego. It's right
Deep
there.
cut. But do you have the Funko?
No, but I have.
Ooh, no, he does. I don't think they have
5
an
different
Anakin
scales of it.
Funko.
You have 5 different scales? Oh, well, yeah, because
Wait,
you're
hold
making the thingy.
1, 2, 3,
Well, you can count
5.
your life-size cockpit.
Yeah, 5 with my life-size cockpit.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah, no, I like the theory. I don't think it's R2.
It's not it,
It's
but I
Bling
like
Blong 7-4.
Yeah, well then, but also then it also gets into the of like, so at what point does R2 dump off Grogu? Then it's not like it's not like he's got like a lead lining and like it's a force blocker like Superman can't see through lead. It's not like
And
there's
also,
a
that
Beskar lining.
droid ain't sitting still. So here's the thing: the scene is showing he's in like a bassinet. He's like little baby Moses sitting there in danger.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's in a droid. I don't know what's the
But he's inside
theory
of
is, but
something.
he's sitting in a little thing, isn't he?
So
He's
how old
laying a
would he have
little
been? Like
cradle.
25? 20, 25
Yeah,
at
he's
that point? Yeah.
Well, no,
True.
they show him
Old and
with
crusty.
a piece of it's red fabric, and it is dark all around him.
Mm-hmm.
Is it
So
dark?
it would imply, yeah,
Mhm.
it's dark, and
And you see,
all
like,
Is he in one of
reflection.
those little Yoda bubbles that Yoda's floating around in?
Yeah, it could have been that.
I would say maybe he's in one of those things.
yeah, but
Mhm.
from the camera angle, he was in the center of the hallway, which is
Yeah.
where I would say I give credence to like a hidden droid.
Okay.
Although that's weird. Why would the droid stay in the middle of the hallway?
They just drive around.
Is there a Jedi behind him using the Force to make him invisible? That doesn't
That's
make
another
any
entirely-
sense.
Is that a
Well,
thing?
no, it's kind of like these aren't the droids you're
It's a
looking for.
stretch,
They could
but-
mask him. Yeah.
Because a
Mm.
gazillion laser blasts are coming towards him. So is some powerful Jedi doing everything in their power to protect him?
It's
And is
possible.
it Ahsoka? I don't know what the hell. Where's Ahsoka during this? No, Ahsoka's off. No, Ahsoka's left the order.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
she's
not
gone.
her.
She's out of the order.
Well, during that period of time, she's on the ship with Rex.
You know who it is? It's Master Dingo Splangowitz.
Oh, good old Dingo.
I finally remember.
You know who his cousin is? Strangely, Team Topugliani.
Oh,
They're buddies. Yeah, they're cousins. Real
Good
weird.
for him. I wonder
Yeah.
if he also flew pod
Yeah.
racers.
But no, at Order 66, Ahsoka hadn't. She was on the ship with Rex.
Yeah,
When it all
she
happened.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's pulled back into it, but
Yeah.
she's in Mandalore. Oh, that fight with Darth Maul. What a wonderful fight using live action
Oh,
Did
yeah.
they really?
motion
That's awesome.
capture.
That's tight.
That was good. Oh, you know what we didn't mention real quick? I want to tag back on to chapter 5 that the sort of purge of Mandalore with the
Yeah.
large droids. That was kind of a cool nuclear
Terminator
wasteland
business.
Terminator 2 homage thing going on there. Yeah, that was
And
cool.
those are K2SOs.
Yeah, from Rogue One.
Yeah.
From what's his name?
Fro-
Dinkle.
oh, the guy who
Alan
almost
Tudyk?
Yeah,
yeah.
Alan Tudyk.
the guy who almost ran into my car and
Yeah,
At the
guy
Grove?
who almost
Yeah.
wrecked your car.
yeah,
Nice.
my rental car, my rental Corolla. Yeah.
Ooh.
In his
Yeah.
Chevy Volt. Come on, bro. You can buy something other than a Volt.
It was a rental
It's
as well.
LA.
Yeah, he was renting a Volt. He probably
Yeah, no, that was
sponsor.
cool. I forgot about that little clip there, right? Of
Yeah.
the K2SOs
Mhm.
or the
They've got,
K2
like,
units.
miniguns.
Mhm. But it
Very
was
Terminator.
cool to see. I loved the Clone War moment. That was, or the Order 66 moment was quite satisfying and sad and everything.
It gives me more of just like they're gonna do a live action Clone Wars.
I hope
It's
so.
gonna happen,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna be fun. I hope.
Yeah.
Until we get to the Trade Federation episodes.
Yeah.
Oh no, I want like a wacky movie. I just want like some side adventure movie with Jedi you have never known, you'll never see again. Just a fun romp of
Yeah.
adventure. That's all I
Well,
want.
here's the problem though, is that would require Tamira to play every character as a clone trooper.
He's
at
talked
least,
about it.
like, put his face on it,
I bet
de-age it,
his
whatever
face
else.
has been scanned to high heaven at this
That's
point.
true. That's true. He's probably well put together in a
And-
deep fake database.
Yeah.
I would
Deep
guess.
fake,
yeah.
bro.
I read
Yeah.
somewhere today that I don't know if he said it or if it was clickbait, but they were talking about how he wanted to do a spin-off where he hunts down Mace Windu. And part of me was like, he's dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's
Oh,
a
is he?
But
well,
is he?
just now hold on. I know
Everybody comes back in Star Wars.
that argument is easily made, right? That
Mhm.
Mace Windu survived considering what they've done
And there's
outside
so
of
much
not
fan
being
art at this
electrocuted.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just thought it was funny that like, listen, as far as we know, at the end of episode 3, Mace Windu gets nuked. So, and this
Mace
is getting
window
in,
goes out the window.
yeah, this is getting into like mid in between episode 6 and 7 territory. So at this point, Mace Windu would look like Obi-Wan. So he'd be
Yeah.
some old dude, some old dusty guy sitting on a porch yelling at
He
kids.
would look like current Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, it would be perfect.
That's like the weird brilliance of this is that now when they're making crap in this era, all these prequel actors, it times out perfectly.
That's true.
And you go, well, okay, well, there we go.
Yeah, this is,
They're
I remember
seizing
some
the
of that.
moment.
He wanted a spin-off where he hunts down Mace Windu. And my first interaction was like, you don't know he's dead? I don't know.
But you know who would say yes to this? Samuel L. Jackson. Especially when he's like, I can maybe be cooler. That's why Ewan McGregor's like, I can maybe have good directors and good writing. Oh, I'll take the chance.
We'll
I'll
see.
roll that dice.
I would love to, even though it's already been done, I really hope that there's a live action Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul moment. I would love to see him pop up,
like the one that's in
the
Clone
Obi-Wan.
Wars?
Yeah, the one that's in, is it Rebels or Clone Wars?
Rebels.
Rebels.
Is it Rebels? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, they do it in Rebels.
Yeah. Because it's weird it's another weird thing about Clone Wars, Rebels to a certain extent, Bad Batch for sure, that you get to see all of these cool characters developed as animation, and they're way more interesting in these things, which actually should lead us to an entire storyline of this episode that's kind of that we've walked all over, is the Spice Runners with Timothy Oliphant's character. Cad Bane shows up, which is really
we should get to
dope.
this episode.
Well, no, I think we did it. We had to give the Grogu, as much as we talked about Grogu has to be in the show, which is what people are expecting. It's got to be injected so that you maintain a fan base. So they had to do that. They had to give it service. They packed in a ton of lore and history into those little interactions and huge stuff. But then you're right. What is the tie-in to the book of Boba Fett? The book of Boba Fett is back to the Spice Run by the Syndicate, in which
it used to be run at one point by Darth Maul.
And Dark Sun.
Just
is it Dark
bring
Sun
him
or
back. Who cares? They've killed him
Red
twice.
Sun?
Just keep bringing him back.
bring him
They
back.
so the right. So now you get this, like, I think the title of the episode is it's like a stranger comes in from the desert or something like that.
Yes.
Which is brilliantly tipped when they show him approaching. These guys are doing like a spice deal in the middle of these like water collector, evaporator collectors, whatever. And then he kind of just shows up from the desert. So you're like, oh, it's about this. And then
it's Timothy Oliphant's.
It's Timothy. Oh, it's Cad. I want to say Cad Bane. It's
Cad Bane.
Sid Vicious.
Vance. Cobb Vance.
Oh, yeah, Cobb Vance.
Yeah, so it's Cobb Vance, and he's like, I'm the marshal, unarmored, but now like leaning into the role. And he basically breaks up this spice trade and says, he does like the very cool like Southern Alabama cop scene where he's like, you boys ain't from around here now. Now I know you ain't got a map, so let me tell you a little bit about that way, a little bit about that way.
Yeah.
I'm the law here. And then of course they have the cool gunslinger thing, which just reestablishes his skill level. And then he's like, he says the line twice of like, was it think about it or something along those lines? And then he's, the one guy doesn't shoot. He says,
because he goes,
be the
think
smart
about
one.
it. And then they try and shoot, so he takes out all of them but one, and then the one is like maybe gonna think about it. He's like, no,
like you're the smart
think
one.
on it. Yeah, you're the smart one. So then the spice guy is like, leave the box, which he probably knows what's in it, but we don't know. Like, there's no tip, it doesn't say spice on the side. It's a box. So we can assume, but we don't know, which also we can then assume he doesn't necessarily know. So
Well,
he
Amy
sees
Sedaris
the
pops up and she goes, "It's spice that's being
before
run.
the
It's very
war."
important to the
Have
show."
you seen Dune? It's a ruckus. It's spice. It's
and
life.
nice, thank you.
And it's so
Uh,
nice.
So
You little
he
womp rat.
he breaks up this deal, kills everyone.
I'm
Basically,
gonna
does the tell your
bang a
boss.
Jawa.
Yeah, he's like, tell your boss that this is no longer unprotected territory. This is my territory.
Uh-huh.
Leave the box, take the gold, get out. So he does that,
Yeah.
and then we see him open the box and he kicks it over because
Kicks it over.
whatever. And then
But he acts like he doesn't know what it is. While there's little Dune spice.
well, I think
sparkles
he
flying out of
knew.
It seemed
I
like
think
he.
he
I mean,
knew
I
enough-
read that he knew.
it.
You're right. I would agree. I would agree that he knew exactly what it was, and he knew it would be better if he didn't have possession of it
Mhm.
when somebody comes to look for it. It's
Mhm.
better to not have it
Yeah.
than to absolutely have it.
Sure.
So then we kind of roundabout. So then, after the Mando can't see the kid, he flies back to fulfill his responsibility to Boba Fett. So he comes back, and then we get the scene around the round table, and they're looking at the map again. He's got the little cyborg kids
Right.
again, saying, "Here's my territory" again, and they're like, "Oh, and by the way, here's Mandalorian," and he's like, "Yo." And then
What's
they're
up?
like, they explain for the umpteenth time that they don't have enough people, and then he's like, "I can help you with that," which now then reunites Mandalorian with Cobb Vanth.
Mhm.
And one of the great things about this, high attention to detail for the production design team, was he Mandalorian circles a Jawa crawler that has the crate dragon skull on top,
Yeah.
which is
Right.
fantastic. And then when he's in the bar and he meets Cobb Vanth and the deputy,
And they somehow know who he is. That's what I love. He's in a new
Yeah.
ship, and they're like, "Woo!
Yeah.
It's that guy."
That is-
Oh yeah, yeah,
Whatever, who
yeah.
cares?
but then inside the bar is like the rib cage,
Yeah,
the-
the
the
great
crate
dragon
dragon,
ribs.
which I thought was
yeah.
just an
'Cause
amazing
they've
detail.
all had to do something with the Krayt Dragon. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So then we get this which is hilarious that he is like, "You need mercenaries? Cool. Let me go to this little podunk town of people
Mhm.
that are barely making it and convince them
And
to be your
force
army.
them
Like, get
to
the hell
care.
out of here."
Yeah, let's
That's
make
the
sure
stupidest
they do
thing
it.
ever.
Mhm.
And then we get the true desert, or a stranger in from the desert, and it's this
Right.
long, which is another stupid scene.
The man with no name.
The man with no name is
Machine,
come walking
yeah.
in. It's got the heat. The heat is rising and it's making it wavy.
Great shot.
which is
Great
which is
looking
dumb.
shot.
It's a great shot, but it's stupid
Because he's walking.
logistically
um,
because he's
well,
walking
he
forever.
came in on a
the
bantha.
nowhere.
Things weren't going well. It was slow. He's like, I'm just
They
gonna
just shoot the
walk the
bantha.
rest of the way. He vaporizes the bantha. And he gets off and he takes a walk. That's
So it's
it.
again, it's a very cool scene. It's got the little thing where like Oliphant's just talking, all of a sudden he gets like the little prickle on his neck, like
My spidey senses are tingling, and
It's-
not in a
it's a-
good way.
it's a beautiful scene, but logistically it's dumb.
That's not a Spidey sense. That's a Jawa.
So yeah. So he comes in, and then we get like the ultimate fan service, which really isn't fan service, which makes complete sense.
Mm-hmm.
The Syndicate has hired Cad Bane as
Right.
their enforcer to be like, go to this small little town, push the marshal around, and tell him
Right.
we're in charge.
Oh, there's a gunslinger. Let's get the best gunslinger.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was that whole thing was like chef's kiss for me.
How
'Cause
did you
that-
like-
Well, and to the
Okay.
setup of the deputy. That's like the funny thing where it's like, oh, here's the red shirt
Yeah.
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 who wants to be helpful and wants to take charge, and
Yeah.
it's like, okay, kid, you gotta get yourself killed. Just settle down.
Oh yeah, and we knew that.
Mhm.
I knew that immediately. You're like, this guy dies.
Yeah.
The deputy dies. Like this just happens.
Right, they set him up. He's
Especially-
like, "Who are you, guy?" Mandalorian's like, "I'm here to see your the guy. I don't know.
The guy.
I forget how the Mandalorian talks. What's he sound like?
I think
Something
he
like
just says,
that.
I'm here to talk to Cobb Vanth.
I'm here to talk to Corn Cob Vance." I think that's what he says.
Oh man, I love though that the stupid deputy acts like a big badass tough guy in front of the student. The shiniest armor in the coolest ship,
Right.
who's
The
clearly
conquistador shows up and
Yeah.
he's like, "What's up,
"What's up,
bro?"
Hey, you can't park that here. You can't park that Nina Pinta and Santa Maria here.
I don't know if you know this, but that block of sand is taken.
It's for banthas only.
Yeah.
That just rung so true. And we're from a small town, listeners. That rung so true of like small town law enforcement.
Mhm.
That like that guy's never been out of the city.
Mm-hmm.
He was probably the star football player.
It's like
His
the
turf.
the night that I got pulled over because I forgot I
Oh.
wasn't slowing. I was slowing down.
You ran 7 red lights.
It was a 50. I was going 55 and a 45,
Okay.
which is not fast, especially when you're slowing down. And when the cop asked you why was I driving so fast, like I guess if you just go by the numbers, that's so fast, but 55 isn't exactly fast compared. But that's the thing. He was bored. He's never been out of town. Never really
Yeah.
seen a whole lot of things, and he saw a car and he was like, "I got some stuff to do." It's not a
You got a
minivan
quota. You got to pull him
with
over.
a soccer ball and a stick family on it, but it'll do.
Yeah.
So, did we
And
like Cad Bane's face?
I love it.
Yeah,
I didn't care. I
because-
mean, I was judging it,
Yeah.
but I was like, well, it's got to be something, and it felt appropriate.
because it's
for
much
live action.
longer.
I don't know what I thought about the eyes,
Hmm.
I'll admit, but the mouth I was fine with.
Mhm.
Well, the reason I understand why people are complaining. The reason I like it though is because the artistic style of the Clone Wars and the Rebels is so like
It's
extra-
exaggerated.
It's right. It's extra drawn. It's
Mhm.
not supposed to be lifelike drawings. Like it's
It
there's-
took me a hot minute to get used to the Clone Wars animation style.
right. There's like
Mhm.
there's everything is like
Yeah.
very angular, extra long. So for me, it was like, yeah,
Very
if you were to
Mhm.
realistically make that face, and you don't want to have the actor trying to chew through the makeup.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely fine with it because they nailed the important parts, which is the blue with the tubing,
Mhm.
Right.
and then his eyes
The hat.
need to be a little sinister. Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
The big
they-
red screen
red
eyes.
and
they weren't like
Yeah.
big
I liked
cartoony,
it.
like street sign eyes. They were just little boxy, but like unwavering. Because they even
Mhm.
make the joke in Oliphant's Great when the Mandalorian is talking to him about getting the town to participate. And I can't remember what he says to him, but then Oliphant says, like, man, I just don't know how you get away with it with that big smile of yours. Like he
Mhm.
just addresses the fact that he can't see it. So
Yeah.
I think it was a great parallel into Cad Bane, whose eyes don't have like pupils.
Mhm.
So at all times he is
Hmm.
staring you down, even if you're over here or over there. Like you are only seeing a solid color.
Hmm.
So there's no tracking. So like no matter where you are, if you're looking at Cad Bane, he's looking at you.
Mhm.
So I love the makeup. I thought it was great.
Well, everything else was nailed, and that's what worked for it. The hat, the face tubes, the costume
Blasters.
was really good.
yeah, and just the presence.
And the
they
voice,
hit the
yeah.
presence. You go, okay, this guy shouldn't be messed with. Yeah.
I didn't dig
Well,
in to
he-
see if it was the same actor doing the voice. I
It's the-
assume.
I
'Cause it was awesome. It's so
was
scary.
Blown away.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
same voice actor. Yeah.
And it's great too that he like the same body type too, like just
Mhm.
tall, skinny, like does not look imposing, but it looks menacing.
The guy who did the character was he's one of the stunt doubles in the show.
Fligo Splangalore.
No, Team Tutubiligani. I don't remember who it was now, but yeah. But it's great. And I'm totally into the having him and Fennec on the same planet, considering like their relationship and the
Oh, yeah.
Clone Wars. The last time we see them together is Clone Wars, which wouldn't have or Bad Batch.
Yep, they
Oh.
duke it out. They duke it
Is-
out on
wait.
Camino.
Because he was hired by the Kaminoans to go and
Oh,
pick her. Well,
right.
Everybody was.
And
the
he
Kaminoans
kills.
kind of put out a fob.
He kills what's her name? The Kaminoan lady that.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Tonwi.
What's her name?
Ton
Ton Wee.
Yeah, yeah.
Little Boba Fett's like Ton Wee Hill. Remember that? Remember that part?
I love that line.
Hey, Daddy, Ton Wee Hill.
So bad. It's almost
And then
like
they murdered Tanwi.
there's no takes in any of the prequels. It was just they got it. They did one and they got it. George Lucas had no intention of getting anything realistic out of anybody.
I think also George went, I'm in a corner. I'm not going to get better. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
I can't solve this.
Well, they're
Do you know
running
how
digital at
expensive
the
this
time
set is?
too, so
And I have my coffee, and I'm comfortable. Move on.
moving on. Just reset.
It's perfect. It's Plan 9. It's Ed Wood.
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
but
yeah.
sir, the tombstone tipped over. It's fine. It's realism.
Yeah.
Whatever. Cut it. Print it. Move on.
That's how I do all my commercials. It's good. Let's move on.
Fine. With Ric Flair.
No, Rick gets all the takes he wants.
Yeah.
Nature boy.
Yeah, well, that's the
We have
thing. He
to
just
talk about that.
he woos constantly, so it's fine.
Forget Star Wars.
I know. Forget Star Wars. Let's talk
My
Ricky.
That could be the
God,
after,
You partied
after.
with Ric
Yeah.
Flair.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was good. So predictions for episode 7, the finale. Anybody? What are you thinking?
Do they poop their pants or is it fun? That's really the
know.
question, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have all these characters in place.
I don't
Do
feel
they
we
kill
wasted
somebody?
we
they
wasted 4
kill
chapters
someone?
talking about Boba Fett, and that's the thing. This could have been an actual war that we're fighting all of a sudden if they had not
Yeah.
wasted all that time. So now I
But
don't even
also
know how we're tying
still-
this up.
I'm trying to think why I
Yeah.
care about Tatooine,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why do I care about this backwater dirt planet? Now, Timothy Oliphant's little home plan, like I care about that enough
Yeah.
because I go, I get that. It's these people that don't want trouble, blah 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 blah. blah. You know,
Right.
Okay, so here's the one thing though. So the end of this episode, we have the Spice Guild. What's their names? The Pikes.
Lollipop kids.
They walk into Flash
Oh, yeah.
dances.
Oh
bar.
yes.
Cantina.
And the whole time I'm like, they're carrying a bomb. They
Yep,
have a bomb.
absolutely.
And they sit down and it's like, try and serve them. Oh, it's weird. They don't want anything. They have a bomb. It's a bomb. The droid's like, oh, they're leaving. You forgot your bomb.
It was a bomb.
And then, oh, everything blows up. And I'm like, am I supposed to be surprised? I don't know how I'm
Mhm.
supposed to feel about this. But thank God something blew up.
Right. Something happened.
Stakes. Something people are no longer part of the show.
They're
Is- They've
been
finally
removed.
turning it into Mogadishu.
Right.
Finally.
Are the sexy Twi'leks dead?
Yes.
Oh.
The amount of flame that came out that front door.
There was a lot of flame
Everyone's
out that
dead.
front.
Is Max Rebo dead?
Oh yeah.
No, he escaped somehow.
Yeah,
because
totally.
He,
He
has
ducked.
to play
He
more
ducked into
tunes.
his
Yeah.
piano and it survived.
He was inside of R2D2.
R7.
R7J12.
Find out C-3PO is actually inside of him. That's how
It's the
C-3PO
weird kink.
survives. Yeah.
You ever had a astromech in you?
That's,
You want one?
Yeah, I don't.
that's
my-
C-3PO's OnlyFans. I'll get
I
inside of you
don't
for $50.
wanna- I don't want to think about
The
chapter
butt
7 because I don't want to be disappointed by because it's like an hour. I don't even know the runtime on this
Mhm.
chapter. I think the amount of stuff that I want to have happen or that I need to have happen definitely
Mhm.
doesn't fit in the time. So it's
Oh,
not
there's
like
gonna be cliffhanger times 11. Yeah.
right. And I guess the
Because
ultimate
they need
workup,
you to want to care about more of the show.
Yeah.
the ultimate workup would be like an assault on Boba Fett's palace. Like that is what I think it would have
Yeah.
to come to.
It
You're gonna
should
have
be.
You're going to
Mhm.
have the Pikes are going to come in and they're going to take down the weakest of the 3 captains, whether that's labor union, whether that's the merchant union, whatever. So they're going to take over a territory and basically set up shop there, which is then going to cause start a conflict, which are then going to have probably the, I can't think of a nice way to say the alien race, but the ones who can't speak English, that guy's going
The
to come.
dog folk?
No,
Dog
the one with the
people.
butt face, like the
Oh.
that guy, the walrus butt face guys.
Oh,
yeah.
walrus guys,
Um,
yeah.
Yeah, the
They're-
walrus butt faces.
He's
them.
gonna in my head, he comes running to the palace saying, we've been overrun, whatever. And Boba's like, we're not prepared.
Mhm.
And then,
But he goes,
and then,
"Blah, blah, 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 blah."
and then you're gonna have like,
He gets shot in the back and he dies. And Boba goes, "Uh-oh."
whoops, doozle, there's my back to take. And then
And
you've
Fennec
got the
goes,
Pikes.
"I told you."
Yeah, you've got like the Pikes making an assault, but then you're not going to have like the Riders of Rohan with the people from Mos whatever.
Right.
They're not going to come in and save it. But I
No.
mean, I can imagine all of a sudden we see them like looking up and like 200 ships just start to land.
From where?
And, like that's from wherever the Pikes, from the Syndicate. Yeah.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying. Like that would be my cliffhanger. It would be like you've got all
Mhm.
this like minimum strife where you're like maybe they have a chance, and then you look
Yeah.
up and all of a sudden it's like oh
Oh.
yeah, it's space,
Oh,
and there's
right.
200 some syndicate ships.
No,
This
that's a good
is a
idea.
massive syndicate that's controlling a swath of the galaxy.
Right. That's
It's
I mean
not-
that's how I
Yeah.
would cliffhanger it. Now,
Yeah.
are we done with the Jedi? Probably. There's gonna be no time for that. Are we gonna see the result of Grogu's choice? We're gonna have to
Mhm.
get like a 5-minute clip of that.
That's
Mhm.
what the Mandalorian's for. When they
Right.
pick up season 3, that was the Mandalorian cliffhanger.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's there's all that stuff that we have. I need questions. I need answers. You have
And-
one episode to do it. We're not going to get there. We're just
Hmm.
not going to get there.
Do they murder someone too early? Right. So you have all these players, and you have a bunch of gunslingers. That's
Well, I think
like
I
the
think
big
Cobb
question.
Vanth is alive. I mean,
Oh, he's alive.
Cobb's
he's alive, but
yeah.
I think he's out of the fight.
Holy
I
fuck,
think
can't
he's-
die.
But the longer story arc is, I mean, they set it up with Prune Face guy. What's his name? The the sand pirate
Queequeg?
dude. The Weequeg
Weequay?
guy.
Yeah.
That's like, we don't care about the city folks
Mhm.
fight, and then he's like
Yeah.
at the end, he's like, I care now about the city folks fight because it's personal. So like that's brewing. So of course, yeah, the desert folk, the most spaghettios, whatever, wherever they live.
That works. Yeah.
Freetown is what they're
The
calling
most
it now.
the most deaf.
Most
Yeah, the
spaghettios.
most deaf. Well, yeah,
Oh,
they
man.
will rise up, but not in this episode. Who
Yeah.
knows? I don't know. They like the logjam crap in these days.
Yeah.
Lord
Mm.
knows who will.
I might
show
stay
up.
up and watch it, but
Will
it's like
all the cyberpunk kids get murdered? Let's hope.
Fingers crossed.
Oh,
That's
fingers
that
crossed.
has to be
all
the
of them
first thing.
individually get murdered, very graphically.
Yeah.
I would love if the Pike Syndicate walked into their little like area, and the little cyberpunks step up and they're like, we're awesome, and then the one guy just like pulls a kill switch and like shuts down the power,
And
that they were
just-
all connected to
Shuts
like one
down
central hub.
their power.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the
They all just, like,
eyeball
boom.
guy goes like a limp.
I think that would be
that's
amazing.
Great.
Yeah.
And then they just take baseball bats and just beat
And then you just see
bite the
Milton
curb.
You
running
see the
away
Jawas
with
come in
bags
and
of
start
water.
carting them out.
Like, Milton's got the water.
Oh, and the
get him.
stapler dude shows up and he's like, "Yeah, my people."
And the
are here."
Jawas going up on Amy Sedaris' character because they're small,
Come on.
like Deadwood style. In most
I
spaghettios.
assumed you had a carpet, but my God.
I'm gonna
Have you
find-
ever shaved?
I fear I'm gonna find a crate dragon in here. Houdini.
Ooh, TD.
And then that's when one of the Jawas comes in with a salvaged razor, a salvaged manscape, and just hands it to her.
Is that our new sponsor? Manscaped
Yeah.
2.0.
Yeah.
And the manscape breaks down. It can't handle it.
It's a thermal detonator.
Or maybe it's a motorcycle gang guy, and he modded his hand to be a manscape, and so he's just offering his services to help.
They call me the Clipper.
Yeah. He's like, but I don't do it for free. And a Jawa throws a bag of coins, and he's like, well, you should have led with that.
Random parts.
And then Mace Windu's in the background going,
Could take that off with my purple lightsaber.
No, it'd be
Wow, wow.
in a far out galaxy,
Wow, wow.
far, far away. We get some other very popular member-berry character like Ezra Miller
Oh my
shows up
God.
or something
Jesus.
like that.
Yeah, just throw in Ezra. Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Freddie Prinze is still like crushing it with that character because he even voiced him in Bad Batch, so we may as well have him show up again.
Yeah, but we don't know what happened to his character.
Yeah.
though.
Was Ezra in Bad Batch?
Yeah, he was the kid. He was the little Jedi that ran away from Bad Batch in the pilot in the first episode.
Yeah.
That was him. Before he was Ezra, I forget what his name was
Oh.
before he was Ezra Bridger.
No.
It's always Ezra Bridger.
No.
No, he had a different name.
That's not Ezra. That's the Jagan. What the hell is that guy's name? It's the dude who gets blind
It's definitely
in
Jagan.
that show. That's not Ezra.
Are you
It's-
sure?
It's Ezra's mentor. The dude
Yeah.
that's with
The Jedi, the
Cleveland
retired Jedi.
pilot.
Yeah.
What's his name?
With what?
The dude with the
Caden?
soul patch.
Is it Caden or something like that?
Caden. Yeah, that's close. That guy. Freddie Prinze Jr. is the voice of Caden or whatever.
Yeah, Ezra Miller is the kid.
Ezra's the kid.
That was Ezra Bridger.
Yeah, that's the kid.
What I say, Miller?
Yeah, that
I'm
there's
mixing them up. There's so
definitely
many
no
names.
Ezra
Come on
Miller.
now.
Is that
Okay,
the
hang
Flash?
on.
Who plays the Flash now?
Right. So, my like I said, that would be the whole other like super far out thing. And obviously, like Cad Bane has to bump into Finnick, and maybe talk about, was it Juno? What's the name of the force sensitive twin from Bad Batch? The kid, the blonde kid,
the girl,
the girl, Alpha,
she-
Omega.
Omega.
She's
So
not
there's
force
gonna be-
sensitive, is she?
Clone.
Well, that's the scuttlebutt, is that the reason she's so special is because they were able to mix force sensitive DNA with the clone
With the
DNA,
clone.
and she's a force sensitive clone.
Okay. Wait, how did we get to
I'm trying
force
to figure
sensitive
out.
with Omega?
There are multiple times in the Bad Batch where she
Yeah.
she
has
demonstrates
these
force sensitivity.
abilities.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
When?
They're like, "Oh, you're special," and she's like, "Am I? I'm just gonna speak like a twangy New Zealander. I don't know.
It's
What am I?
it's
Am I
a
special?"
hard accent for
Yeah, it is.
sure. Yeah, it's rough.
I don't know what I am."
Okay, hang on.
But,
I'm gonna look up the character that I was.
Yeah.
So again, I'm thinking of these as just like far left
Oh,
hand
if they bring
curveballs.
Omega into this,
See, Omega's totally showing up for sure. That's definitely happening.
I didn't even think about that. I forget. Everyone has to show up in everything now. I forget
Mhm.
that.
Or we're gonna see. I don't remember the name of the
if you
ship.
set someone up, they have to
Like
show
the
up
Bad
in every
Batch,
other
like
thing
the
now.
Bad Batch ship.
Oh, yeah.
If they did
It's
like
happening.
a fleet of ships, we're gonna see like the Bad Batch ship in like the horizon or something. And we got to see the fire spray one more time. Like that's got to come out.
Oh, because we even had.
Speaking of Phantom Menace garbage, no one buys. You know what this was? This was like a rocket.
Oh yeah, you said it was a model rocket.
Model
Oh,
rocket. Oh, you remember?
yeah.
Good on
I
you.
remember,
You
yeah.
Listen to me.
It happens.
Even
Okay,
I'll
so
remember what I
Caleb
said.
Doom. That's who it was.
Caleb.
Doom.
Okay.
And he became Kanan Jarrus
Yes.
in Rebels, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's-
okay,
That's
got
the
it.
Kid that's at the beginning.
He's right
of
there.
Bad Batch.
Yeah. And then
What
that
is
was
he-
Freddie
is he
Prinze
in
Jr.
Funko form?
Yeah, I've got a Funko. I've got the.
There's
I've
a
got the whole
Funko of
Rebels.
Janan Karras. What's his name? Kanan Jarrus.
Kanan Jarrus. Oh yes, and the same voice did play Cad Bane in
Yeah,
both
for sure.
all the
yeah.
things and all the things. Yeah, that's good. I'd be disappointed if that was not the curse. That
There
was
he
not
is.
the
Oh
curse.
my god, that soul
Wow.
patch. Ugh, it was the worst.
Yeah.
When
That
they
was a
made
rough
him
time.
blind in that show, I was like, thank you. He got way better when he was blind.
Yeah.
And then he grew a beard. I was like, okay, I can deal with this guy now. He was, I
soul
couldn't
patch is
deal with
rough.
him at the beginning.
It's like the Chubbawamba soul patch. Just doesn't work. Well, we're excited about the next episode. We sound like we just
We're
hate
so
it, but
ready.
really do love all things Star Wars. We love all the stuff that's happening.
And if we hate it, we love to
We
hate
love
it.
to hate it. It's
We
so
love
wonderful.
either way.
It's
the
because we're critical because we love it.
point. Because we
Yeah.
we place way too much value on it.
Yeah, right. Our self-worth is wrapped up in it.
Well, and I will give it credence in of these are so much better on the second viewing, because when you watch it the first time, just like my
That's
hesitation with chapter 7 is,
Yeah.
I already have expectation. I already have
just
things I want.
trying to climax. So I'm
edging.
I'm too.
So it's like, you're going into the episode with the things that you want to see, the things you think should be a certain way,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
when the
Right.
episode
That's
is
true.
told to you,
When you know what it's gonna be.
yes. So once you get past the disappointment, for lack of a better term, and then you watch it the second
Because it
time,
wasn't
that's
the
when you start to
be-all,
pick up
Yeah.
the story components, or the little dialogue choices, or the just the little nuance that actually makes a show really good and stand on its own. It has problems, it has issues, but second view definitely assists the appreciation of the show, because first view you're either blindly into it, or you're like just madly disappointed because it's not meeting your expectation.
Right.
It's suffering from the lost phenomenon, where every week people would watch
boy.
Lost,
Yeah.
and then the internet would explode with theory and all this stuff.
Oh,
So the
too
point where they
much.
got to the
put
next episode,
so much on that show. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
people got to the next episode, and it was just like hate mail. The minute the
Interesting.
show was over, the internet would explode with people that were just like calling for JJ to be fired. And
What
all
about
this
those
stuff.
polar bears?
Yeah, people were just so mad.
Where's that boy who is now clearly aged way too much? Walt. Oh my God, that show. We should do one podcast on that show.
I've never watched it.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah.
Buckle
yeah.
in.
Oh, I'm
It's
totally fine.
It's a trip,
I'm not doing
Buck
it.
it up, Buckaroo.
I just started the
So we're excited.
Crown.
and we'll talk about chapter 7 for sure.
Yes. Soon, soon, soon. In the meantime, thank you for listening, folks. And we will see you next week.